Transmitting live from the Asylum Studios, deep in the bowels of Southwest Texas. It's the Joe Rooz Show. The show where we talk about anything and everything. Where nothing is sacred, nothing is watered down, and nothing is PC.
Alrighty, hey folks, this is Joe Rooz, and it is great to be with you once again, transmitting live from the Asylum Studios from the Pimple on the backside of Texas, the beautiful city of Eagle Pass, and doing the very, very best we can to bring you the best quality talk radio we can muster without all the bluster. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Joe Rooz Show. All righty. Well, thanks to the non-existent studio audience. Appreciate that. It's always great to have you guys here with us. All right, folks. Hey, guess what? It is Friday. That's it. The call has been made. It is Friday. And, you know, there's something really cooking here tonight. Really, really cooking tonight. Because you know what today is? Not only is it Friday, not only is it a beautiful, beautiful Friday here in Texas, but we have something very, very special that we got to celebrate tonight because it is episode number 200. Can you believe that? We made it to episode 200. Of course, the music didn't queue up right. That's perfect. It's all right, though. But you know what, folks? 200 episodes. I can't believe we did 200 episodes. We're not even doing the show a year yet, and it's 200. And we started the show November 25th, 2024. And, man, we had a run. we were doing shows up almost 6 days a week for a little while there. I think that's what kind of pushed us to 200. And it's great. I couldn't do this guy without you guys. And, of course, to our producing team, Wayne Rankin, Rosanna Rankin, Carolina Jimenez, Marissa Lee, and, of course, I mean, how could you not say thank you to anonymous Angela? Angela, just like yeoman's work. Amazing, 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 amazing person. Really, really do appreciate Angela and all the stuff that she does. And like all of our producers, we appreciate every single one of them. And we look forward to doing 200 more episodes by this point next year. That's the target. I'm setting it right now. So we'll be doing episode 400 at this time next year. All right. I think that sounds like a good plan. All righty, folks. Well, let's get rid of Cool and the gang here. Get rid of them. Oh, wow. It's been a busy week. Been a very busy week. And as always, we have two spectacular guests lined up tonight. Our first guest, I cannot wait to get to. I've been waiting for an opportunity to have him back on the show. So he's a recurring guest. So he must have enjoyed his last time here. We'll find out when he comes on. We'll ask him. But looking forward to having Peter Ticktin with us here shortly. Very, very excited about that. I'm like one of my favorite guys. I love talking to him. So really looking forward to having him on here. And then, of course, we have Rory Paquette in the second hour. I'm going to talk about some podcasting stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun to do that as well. Now, first, of course, before we do anything, we have some housekeeping we do. So as we go through this, let's get into that. First of all, tonight's show is brought to you by podhome.fm. Podhome.fm. That's my audio host platform. Great platform. You need to be on podhome.fm. Why? Because Podhome is the most modern and easy-to-use podcast hosting platform that's out there. You can use it to publish your episodes, enhance your audio, automatically generate chapters, titles, transcripts, show notes. You name it, you can do it with podhome.fm. And you can even podcast live. Did you know that? Right there through your... Always at that point I cough since this last week. You can even podcast live through your website. They have an HTML code you can insert into your website. You get a beautiful media player to broadcast your show live, plus it broadcasts over the modern Podcast 2.0 apps. Great stuff, fantastic stuff. You need to try them out. And you know something? If you don't have a website, Podhome will give you one. They'll set you up with one. No extra charge for that. All right? All you need to do is head over to podhome.fm. You'll get everything you need in a simple monthly affordable subscription of $15.99 a month. And if you sign up today, you get 30 days free. That's it, just 30 days free, and then $15.99 a month. You're going to spend triple anywhere else. Check out podhome.fm. That's podhome.fm. And hey, folks, electricity is essential, don't you think? And TNE Energy makes it affordable and personal. More than 1 million customers across the U.S. trust TNE Energy to power their homes, and they also earn free energy for referring their friends and their family as well. Visit tne.energy and explore all of the options that are available for you and for your home today. All right, and also don't forget to head over to our website, joerooz.com, and when you get there, open up the web form up there in the upper right corner, and send us over a message. Let us know whatever's on your heart, whatever's on your mind, any questions, comments, cares, concerns that you might have, any complaints that you might have. Easy on the complaints, but let us know what you're thinking. If you have a guest or a particular subject you want to talk about, let us know what that is. We would love to be able to accommodate that for you. If you don't want to use the web form, totally cool with me. You can always email me directly at info@joerooz.com. That's info@joerooz.com. You could also use the comment section right down below if you like. You could do that. That's always neat. We appreciate comments, so check them out. Take care of that for us. We'd appreciate it. All right. Also, while you're on the website, look at the support page if you would. And remember, this is a value for value podcast. So all that basically means is that if you are receiving anything of value from what we're putting out, we're asking you to return that value in the form of a donation. That donation can be your time, your talent, your treasure, and we greatly appreciate that. And of course, we'll bring up all of that stuff in detail at the end of the show. And of course, I have to throw this up there again. I'm sorry, but we have a GoFundMe set up for the asylum here. So you have a QR code up on the screen. There'll be a link in the show notes below. So if you have the means and you're able to help us out, remember we're fighting a very high tax increase, which set my escrow balance out of whack and has increased my mortgage payment considerably. And it's going to be very, very difficult to keep things going at the rate we're going. So if you could help us out with a donation, we would really appreciate that. You can click the link below or scan the QR code up there. We would really, really appreciate that. Every little bit that we get helps. And of course, if you have the means to do it. If you don't, that's fine. We understand that, and we appreciate even the thought. Just keep us in prayer then, okay? We appreciate that as well. All right. Well, with all of that said and out of the way, I think that it's probably time for us to introduce our illustrious guest. Folks, it's always a good night when Peter Ticktin is on the show. No matter what show he's on, it's always a good night when he's on the show. Peter Ticktin's been practicing law since 1972, and he's never backed down from a fight. He is the founder of the Ticktin Law Group, with offices across Florida, known for their 3 C's: creativity, cost-effectiveness, and communication. They often take on cases most lawyers shy away from. Peter's legal work has been featured everywhere, from the New York Times to CNN and to Fox News. He's argued before the Supreme Court of Canada, shaped key areas of law in Florida and in California, and written the book, What Makes Trump Tick, inspired by his friendship that began back at the New York Military Academy, which we talked about quite a bit last time he was on the show. He's been on the front lines from voter fraud and defamation to seeking justice for the J6 community. Through it all, he's remained one of the most compelling voices for truth, law, and common sense. Peter, it is great to have you back on the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Well, they're true words. I don't make stuff up, buddy.
I know. I got to live up to them. And I don't mind, but I did.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got your color straightened out.
Yeah. I don't know what I look like, but I have this program that allows me to change from tungsten to daylight to the thing that worked best now is fluorescent. Believe it or not.
Really? Wow. Yeah. That's weird. Well, but you look great. You look great. You sound great. And again, it is great to have you here. Now, last time you were here, we had a great conversation. I mean, folks, if you didn't catch that show, you got to go back and listen to it or watch it. We had a blast, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm really glad that we were able to take that. We touched nothing of the subject matter for the night, really. I think I asked you one question at the very start, and it was just tell us a little bit of something about yourself that nobody knew. And that was the whole show. That was the whole show. That was great, though. That was a lot of fun. So since we barely touched on anything that we covered, that we wanted to cover last time, your books, cases, insights, can you give us a brief rundown of the last few months for you and for your team? What have you been working on? What's keeping you busy?
Oh, a lot. Okay.
The pregnant pause. What are you watching, Alex Jones?
No. I was on his show a couple of weeks ago, or
I know.
maybe 4 weeks ago. Yeah, because I was very concerned about Todd Blanche. I still am.
As are a lot of us.
Well, look, he's a very capable man. His winning rate is something like 84% for all of his clients if you leave out Donald Trump.
Okay.
Where he struck out every time. He's got a 0 rate of success with Donald Trump. And frankly, I don't think that he believes that Donald Trump is innocent.
Really?
Of this bullshit. Can I say these words?
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
All right. I don't
know what you got to say.
Some shows I'm not allowed to say that.
No, I say what you got to say.
Okay. All right. I mean, we know that the charges in New York were completely BS. I mean, they've just been overturned. They're garbage. And then after the verdict, he went to be interviewed on CNN. And, you'd think that he'd be saying, this is horrible, my client's innocent. But he never said that.
Yeah, I remember. I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and instead he said, well, this conduct occurred 7 or 8 years ago. So that sounds to me, I mean, I'm a trial lawyer. That's what I do. That's what I've done for over 50 years. and I'm good at what I do. And what makes you good is you got to be able to read people. You can't. You know how they say that for you've probably heard the saying that a lawyer should never ask a question that he doesn't know what the answer is going to be.
Yeah.
Right. And that doesn't mean that you met with the witness, you talked to the witness, and you rehearsed and you found out what the answers to your questions are. Because very often you're cross-examining people you've never seen before. But in your initial questions or in the direct examination, you kind of figure out what the person's frames of reference are, like who he is. Is he a liar?
Mm-hmm.
Is he somebody that's motivated to bend, in quotes, bend the truth? Is he somebody who just never strays from the truth? Those are the people you can't succeed with, by the way, in cross-examination.
Okay.
They're few and far between, but you cannot get them on cross-examination because they're being truthful. So by the facts of the case and couple that with the consistency of the person you're examining, that's how you're able to ask questions that you know the answers to. Okay, not because you've prepared with that person. So you get to understand, little nuances, things that people say. What do they really mean? What do they really feel? What are they saying? So when somebody says to me that the conduct occurred 7 or 8 years ago, that sounds to me like a confession. That sounds to me like you're admitting that conduct occurred.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're just saying, but it's not fair because it was so long ago that he should be able to get away with it. That's what that means. And that's what he said. And then he also referred to Donald Trump as a 77-year-old first-time offender in answering the question as to whether he thought he would get any jail time or not. And he was basically saying, no, he shouldn't get any jail time because, if a 77-year-old first-time offender, he didn't say this is an innocent man. Yeah. But even if the judge looks at him as though he's a first-time offender or an offender, then he's the first time he would be seen as a first-time offender. He didn't say it like that. He basically said he was a first-time offender, which means he's a guilty man. And then when he was asked whether the trial judge was fair, he refused to say that he was unfair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
what
are we talking about? I mean, what trial are we talking about? We all saw this judge being so unfair, it made us want to vomit. And he's Donald Trump's lawyer, and he's afraid to say. I mean, he could have said, well, we objected to so many of his rulings, and we object because we know that they're not right in law, which means that they're not fair. Many of the things he said didn't appear to us to be unfair at the time, and we have no reason to change our mind now. He could have said that. But instead, he was revealing what his mind frame was. And when you think your client is guilty and you actually dislike your client because they're guilty, it's very hard to stand in front of a jury and sincerely say that they're innocent. Because nobody's that good of a liar.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And it's interesting because, words do mean things, and your choice of words say an awful lot about what your heart really is, or where your mind, like you said, your mind really is. And I remember him making those comments, and I remember thinking very similar along that. Well, you just represented this man. Why are you not continuing on saying that, he's an innocent man? I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean,
right. Where was that? It's not just that he said the things I said. It's also that he never said
that
his wife was innocent and just got railroaded.
Yeah, no, never put up that argument. Never put up any kind of type of defense on that at all. It was ridiculous. I remember that. I remember watching it. I was sick to my stomach. That says a lot right there. The size says a lot, my friend. The size says a lot. So let me ask you this. So people are watching the courts a lot right now, and probably a little bit more closely than they ever did before, because of things like these show trials and these shams that took place up in New York with the president.
Right.
And so I think that people are paying more attention to these things than ever before. What do you think the public gets right, and what do we tend to misunderstand about how the justice system really works?
Well, when you're talking about the public, you're talking about two halves. You're talking about the half, or each half has its own measurement. Extreme to not interested at all, and you've got your left, and you've got your right. But it's no longer left and right. I mean, really, at this point, we're really in a war, and
Mhm.
we're in a war against foreign nationals and not foreign nationals, but foreign nations that are interfering with us, and certain ideologies that are threatening us. And for that, you just need to look at WEF and BlackRock, because they're basically they've joined forces. I mean, Larry
Fink.
Fink is the head of BlackRock, and it's the largest corporation in the world. I mean, it's as big as almost everything else put together.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's $11.6 trillion
Jeez.
under management. I mean, it's amazing. It used to be like 4 or 5, and then I guess they took over their major competitors, and then Larry Fink then becomes the head of the World Economic Forum. So that's why I say they're joined at the hip. They've got the same guy.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and so and that's what really wants to take over the world. Although I think that they're fools that are going to get caught in their own trap, because they think that China is going to work with them, but China is a dissident to them. China will let them reduce their populations, and then use their populations to basically take over. That's my theory. Okay,
I don't think you're far off on that. I think you're hovering very close to the target, sir.
It's very scary what's going on.
It is. It is.
But in terms of your question, how does the general public? So if you take the far left, that's why I'm saying the left are they're zombies. Okay, they're not dealing with reality. They don't see what's really happening. They are living in a matrix, and it's sad, it's scary, but it's true. I mean, that they really are. They don't see. Once they wake up from the matrix, they'll be able to see reality, but they're not waking up. And we have what I would call Donald Trump's base. These are people that look at reality to a great extent. They're not fooled by very much. They may be what seems like overly loyal to Donald Trump. But, the fact of the matter is, if you're not 100% in favor of Donald Trump, if you're only 90% in favor of Donald Trump, that other 10% is on the left. That other 10% is China. There's no 10% to give here. You've got to be 100% behind Donald Trump. I don't care if he disappoints you, or if you don't like the fact that he said something in a way that he said it. He's the one that's standing in harm's way. He used to say in his rallies, when he had rallies, he used to say, and I love this line because I saw it as so true, that they're coming after us, but he just happens to be standing in the way. And that's the reality of Donald Trump. He's in their way. When he says, or when other people say, not everything Donald Trump says is exactly true, and it takes the left, look at every word and they think, oh, hey, he lied about this. But we all know what's true and what's not true. When he says, I could have had a good life, I could be out there playing golf every day and doing business and making deals, and I didn't need to do this, and I didn't need to become the president of the United States and fight this fight. But that's not really true. He did need to.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they're coming for us, and he would have just been one of us that they're coming for. His money wouldn't make any difference. I'm doing a lot of pardon work lately, and because of that, I'm hearing from people all over the United States. I charge a lot, so it's helpful. It keeps my office alive. It lets me do the things that I'm doing, and frankly, I'm fighting the war. I'm not getting rich on it, okay? But I'm
You're
not,
in the trenches.
Yeah, I'm in the trenches. And when it comes to cops that have been weaponized against, and when it comes to the J6ers that have been weaponized against, which is obvious, I do all those for free anyway. Okay, I don't charge at all. So some are free and some are expensive, and sometimes I fall in the middle a little bit. But the fact of the matter is that I'm here. I've learned through this. I've learned because I've heard from all these people, and I found out that they weaponize. So let me tell you my theory about weaponization. Okay. And I don't know that anybody else has this theory, but maybe I'm the only one. The legalization of marijuana has put us in a bad situation, in a sense. Okay. Not just marijuana, but, and I shouldn't say the legalization, but the decriminalization.
Okay.
So we've had, because in 1999, 32% of all crimes were drug related, mainly possession of marijuana or trafficking in marijuana or importing marijuana. Marijuana was the biggie. And that's probably 25%. I don't know for sure, but I'm just from my own observations, I would say it's about 2/3 of the 32%. And then there's the crystal meth and the heroin and the cocaine and so on. But that's a much smaller deal than the number of people that were illegally using marijuana when it was being enforced.
Okay.
So let's just say, for the sake of discussion, 25% of all crime just disappeared. Well, they didn't decrease the police force by 25%. They didn't tell 25% of all the FBI, it's time to leave. Thank you very much, but you got to do something else because we just don't have enough crime right now to have all of you there earning money. They had to rationalize their existence, and there just weren't enough bank robberies to go around. So we had people that went into new areas of crime, and it ended up basically expanding crime, decreasing tolerance. It's sort of like if you have too many cops on your local police force, all of a sudden you find they're not tolerating you stopping at a rolling stop at a stop sign. Now you got to come to a full stop at the stop sign because otherwise you're going to get a ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the things that used to be tolerated in terms of finance, not real lies, but slight exaggerations, people being a little bit hyped when they would say something. Now all of a sudden they're getting jail sentences for it. And when 2020 came along and Merrick Garland came along, now this guy is a pretty sharp guy. That he almost became a Supreme Court judge. This is no dummy.
Right.
And he was able to take this excessive amount of policing and weaponize it, basically channel it, funnel it, and put it in certain directions. So where did they go? What were they had aims. Of course, we know about Donald Trump, and we know about the people around Donald Trump, such as Michael Flynn or what's his name? It's escaping me. Peter Navarro. Yeah. People like that got persecuted.
Bannon.
Donald Trump himself.
Yeah.
Bannon. And then we saw, and we saw this their means. Okay, so when Michael Flynn was never going to give in, he's never going to give it. He's never going to give in, and then they threatened his son. Okay, well, how do you get around that? How do you deal with that? You say, okay, I'll put in my time. I don't want my son being brought into this thing and going to prison. Right. And so they learned the pressure points. They learned how to get people to plead guilty to crimes for which they're not guilty. And this has gone on in the United States to a great extent. So they went after cyber currency people. If it wasn't Bitcoin or Ethereum, they were on the hit list. They went after doctors who either prescribed ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine or were against the jab. They went after mothers and fathers of children that went to Board of Education meetings to complain about, these woke, crazy ideas that were implemented. They went after, the worst group that they went after were the upper middle class. If you liked MAGA and you were making $10 million a year, or you had $100 million in the bank, that didn't worry them at all. That was juicy for them, because not only would they put you behind bars, but they also would take your money.
Yeah, they have access to all of that.
Right. And I mean, to get a phone call from a man, who had $115 million in his bank accounts, they seized it all. Jeez. The man ended up having to plead guilty to a crime for which he got prison time, because he didn't have any money for a lawyer, because they took it all. And it's amazing how your friends disappear and nobody's got money for you when these kinds of things happen. Nobody helps you. Not all the time. That there are some decent people, but it wasn't known, and still not known. I'm telling your audience, but I don't have the time for most shows that I'm on to get into this, because I'm talking about my cases, which we can talk about too if you want to, like Tina.
Definitely. I want to get into Stephanie. I want to get to Tina, and I also want to talk to you a little bit about this hearing you had in Michigan on the 3rd.
Okay. All right. I'll be happy to. That's I'm so honored to be part of these people's cases, that they trust me with being the lead counsel on their cases, because I can't get on a case if I'm not the lead. I
don't blame you. I don't blame you. You like to be in the center of it all, which is great.
It's not that. It's just that people make mistakes, and I can't sit there and be part of a team that's going in the wrong direction. And
I get you.
So it not that it's happened, but it's happened in my past. I had a case once with theft in a bank in my early years in the 1970s, and this is at a time, people don't realize it, but if you watch an old movie like To Kill a Mockingbird or something like that, or you watch these Perry Mason shows and these stuff, you notice the courtrooms are filled with people, filled with spectators. They're full, just all kinds of cases. Well, that's the way it used to be, because in my early years in the 1970s, were there 2-3 channels on TV, and so people would, if they weren't going to a matinee for a movie or something, they wanted something to do, they'd go to the courthouse and they'd watch a trial. And it was great, because you're not only playing to the jury, but you're playing to a whole courtroom full of people. And I remember this case really well, because those early cases with those kinds of audiences for those jury trials were they're exciting. I still love doing trials, and they're still exciting, but they're different now. And anyway, throughout the trial, and I wasn't the lead lawyer on the case, but throughout the trial, I was the lead player. I was doing all the examinations and so on. Throughout the trial, I'm pointing out that it wasn't my client, Mrs. Hines. It was Mr. Lambert, or something like that. And anyway, I kept showing how it could be him. It could be him. As much as she had access, he had access. She's there early in the morning. He's there early in the morning, showing that there's another person who not only could have done it, but who did it. All right. But the guy that actually had the final authority on the case, who was the lead, said, I want to do the closing. Right. And he got up to do the closing. We had gone over everything. He knew exactly what he had to do and what he had to say, and he wimped out. He didn't have the cojones to basically get up and say, "It's Mr. So and so. He was there. He did this. He did." He was afraid. He didn't even know the law, that he wouldn't be able to be sued for saying that in court. So he got afraid while he was up there, and it was too late to do anything about it, and he lost the case. But fortunately, the judge had been watching all of these examinations, and he knew she was innocent. And so he didn't reverse what the jury did, but he gave her a 6 months probation for something that would have easily given her 5 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So, but after that, I can't let somebody else call the shots.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I mean, but thank God though that the judge was actually paying attention to the actual presentation of the case, that he could, that the judge was actually able. I'm sorry.
We used to have better judges. We used to have really good judges. I mean, yeah, I can't say that entirely, because my main place where I practice is in Southeast Florida, and Broward County and Palm Beach County, we have really good judges. I can't complain about them. On the federal level, it's much more political, but on the state level, you just don't get that. It's much more fair these days.
Do you prefer arguing cases before at the state level or the federal?
Yes.
Both. Okay. Good. Very good. Very good.
I know they're different. When it's funny that my level of arguing got to be a lot better when my daughter became a judge. Because there are judges and there are lawyers, and lawyers are just not at the same level as judges.
How come you never went to become a judge? Did it ever cross your mind?
Yeah, except that I'd have to listen all day long to other people's arguments and so on. It really wasn't what I'm a fighter, and I like doing.
Yeah, it's not exciting enough for you. It doesn't give you enough of something. It's kind of boring, actually, when you think about it. You're just sitting there listening to other people talk all day.
Yeah, it's exciting in its own way, and you've got power, and people have to listen to you. But if you exercise that power rudely, then you get criticized. But what I found in the jurisdictions where I practiced, when my daughter was especially, one judge is never going to criticize another judge in the same circuit where they're practicing, because they're going to have to live with that judge. Okay, when you become a judge, you don't make any new friends. You're stuck with the friends you've got, and some of them disappear, and the new friends you're making are the other judges in your circuit. It's just the way life works.
Yeah.
And there's only one thing worse than criticizing another judge, and that's criticizing another judge's father. Oh. So I was in a very different kind of position, and I became and so I became like one of the judges. We're on a work-life basis. I would be asked for advice on this issue or that issue. What do I think about this and that from time to time? And I was accepted in a different kind of a way, once that had occurred. So that did change the way I practice and what I do and how I do it to some extent. I don't know how I went off on this particular path without talking about myself.
That's okay. So that's fine. I love when you tell stories. No, but I love when you tell stories about your experiences. I mean, that's brought you to where you are. So to learn more about your background, just it to me, it's great. I like it. So the audience is like, I don't care, but I like it. So I'm not like Alex Jones, who's going to step all over you while you're trying to explain something either. So I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to let you go.
I tell you something, he was great. On the show that I was on, I thought he was great. He had me laughing. I mean, he's actually funny.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love watching Alex Jones. I really do. I don't agree with everything he says, of course. You can. If you did, then you're just sycophantic, and you don't want to. That's not the right way to go.
Yeah. There's a big difference between great minds think alike and fools rarely differ.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this case that you're dealing with in Michigan,
So,
that you're involved with. And for the people who may not be familiar with it, can you just kind of break down what's really at stake in this Michigan hearing and why these jury instructions that we've heard matter so much?
okay, all right. Well, there are two aspects to that case in Michigan. Okay, it's keeping America. Okay, I mean it's on that level,
Okay.
and it's making sure my client doesn't for adverse consequences like going to prison. Okay, now my client is Stephanie Lambert. Okay, Stephanie Lambert is actually a really good trial attorney. She had, I think she reached something like the 2000 level of cases. I mean, she's as a public prosecutor, it was case after case. She would be trying, and you get your best practice doing those things. So she's an accomplished litigator, and I'll let her talk for herself when the time comes in terms of how she got involved with all of the things that we're involved with in terms of election fraud. But she became one of the pivotal people on it. Now you've heard about, Sidney Powell. You've heard about so many of the people that are involved in it, Patrick Byrne, and so on. People that got involved with the election fraud. But most people don't know who Stephanie Lambert is. But ultimately, people will, because she deserves to be recognized as she's in the war, and she's fighting it with everything she's got. I mean, here she's a single mother to three children, and at the same time managing all of these things, sometimes with no compensation, but because it just has to be done.
Right.
So she in Antrim County, Michigan, there was a civil case that was brought where she was one of the lawyers involved. And it was just after the 2020 election. And in that case, the trial judge made it very clear that she could have access to the machines. Okay. She subpoenaed them and she wanted to have access to them, and there was no reason not to give them. And this is at the beginning, right? Before judges realize, oh my God, I don't want to get in trouble with the cabal. So she actually had an order that gave her permission to use the machines to deal with them. She never touched them herself, but she did have experts that came to examine the machines. And that's what she's basically charged with. It's like another Tina Peters case.
I was going to say that
they want to take somebody. Yeah, they want to take somebody who's preserving the truth, somebody who's basically, making sure that hard drives or tabulators, election equipment is saved. And she went to the next level of actually having experts examine the machines.
Right.
And you won't believe what's in these machines. I mean,
Anything
they have. What's that?
Anything you can share?
Oh, am I going to share? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Detail.
Okay. Well, one of the charges against her is for destroying an election property. Okay. And what that is based on is that when the experts had the machines, I mean, she's not telling them what to do. She's not the expert. These are people that know what they're doing, and they needed to take a look at what's inside the machine. But these machines are sealed. They're not like normal desktops. I mean, we use a screwdriver and open the thing up. So they had to break the seal in order to get into the apparatus and look at the motherboard.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about with the motherboard?
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So on the motherboard, what do you think they found? They found extra chips. They found phone chips. They
Wow.
found chips in the Dominion machine, in the Dominion equipment, that allowed access by telephone to the machine. So these
Jeez.
machines that are supposed to be air gapped, no wires going into them, it makes no difference. It's built in. And on election night of 2020, the machines were actually accessed twice. Yeah, and who made the chips? Who made the phone chips?
Yeah, I'm assuming
China.
China. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can tell you it's China. Okay, no assumptions necessary. And so, so we know the election was fixed. We know they accessed the machines, and then they took the tabulators, and it didn't matter which combination they put the ballots in on, and these experts put in 40,000 ballots through these machines, and every single time, if it didn't matter if it was all Donald Trump or whether it was all for Biden or a mixture of half and half, didn't make any difference how they fed it. The outcome each time were like 2 for Trump, 4 for Biden. So we know that the election was fixed. We've got evidence of how these machines are all corrupted. We cannot have another election with machines, or we know what the results are going to be, especially in 2026. So one of the things that I've made it really clear to people that need to know, including the president, is that, we have a lot of issues that are really important. I mean, I can't think of anything more important on a personal level than getting Tina Peters out of prison, or winning the cases that I have coming up, or making sure that people that were the patriots that were imprisoned, the hostages from January 6th, are compensated. I mean, there's so many things that need to get done.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but I'm so glad you said hostages. I mean, that's exactly what these people were. They were held hostage, and it was disgusting what our government did to its own citizens who were within their legal right to voice their disapproval at an election process. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No. This is really good. Let me come back to this, but let me first say that my point is that there are so many things that are really critical, that they're really important, but there's only one thing that's pivotal, where we either keep America or we lose America. And that point is that we need fair elections in 2026. If the machines are allowed to be used, we will lose the House by a large margin, and we will lose the Senate by a large margin. With these rhinos, or whatever you want to call them, establishment senators, it could even lead to the removal of Donald Trump, and it probably will.
That's something. That's something I'm
yeah. It's one of their chanting points at this point. They're not worried about Donald Trump because in 2 years he won't exist. That's what they're saying. And I'm hoping that by that, they're not talking about his demise, but they're still talking about his political demise, at least. And that they will get him out of there, at least with the recent decision that we had in New York. It's not going to be shipping him up to New York for sentencing. That's not ever going to happen. Please God, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, thank God for that.
Yes, but
excuse me.
Yeah. So going back to the J6ers, in terms of them, being hostage, a lot of people don't know. I mean, it came out at one point when the Gateway Pundit started to help me get evidence for what happened on January 6th. As Donald Trump asked me to, I mean, it didn't ask me as a favor. I was paid well, but he asked me to marshal the evidence regarding January 6th. So for 9 months, I was marshaling that evidence. When the Gateway Pundit put it out there that I needed help, anybody who's got videos and so on. When that happened, it was like kicking an anthill, because nobody knew. I reported directly to the president. I mean, obviously his staff and people there were paying me, but other than that, nobody knew that I was involved in it. So then all of a sudden, Peter Ticktin is looking for this, and other lawyers that knew who the other lawyers were that worked for him didn't know me, and that there was a bit of a blow up. It was like kicking an anthill. Everybody's running around saying, "Who is this? Who's this fraud who says he's a lawyer for the president?" So, people did know at that time. Well, even then, no, they didn't know yet because we hadn't filed the case against Hillary, because I was the lead local counsel on that one. There's a case where I wasn't the lead counsel. That was Alina Hava, but I was the lead local counsel, so I had to file the action in the first place, which was then used against me with other weaponizations that occurred. But the things that I learned about January 6th from getting all this information and getting all this in, it is not what people think it was. Now they're finding out to a great extent that certain things occurred. I mean, look, we had that, what I think Donald Trump called the Unselect Committee.
Yes.
You gotta love Donald Trump,
Yeah, you do. I like him. I do. I'd want to hang out with him, just to hang out, to listen to him talk about things.
But I'm telling you, this much of a sense of humor, I swear, he gets from me. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we lived together when we were 17 years old.
That's true, right? Yeah, military academy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's 24 hours a day. That's no going out to restaurants either. You're there.
Yeah.
But he's, even then, what a wonderful person. I think I talked to you about him before.
Yes, you did.
But yeah,
on my bucket list, sir. I'd like on my bucket list one day just to get a chance to shake his hand.
Yeah,
without a doubt. So anyway, let me ask.
Anyway, I was just going to tell you a little bit more about January 6th, things that most people don't know. Okay. It was planned in advance by the left and certain countries, including the Ukraine. So, yeah, well, I mean, that group that ran around the building, and you might have remembered if you've seen enough videos, there's one guy knocking out a window with a 2x4.
Yeah.
That guy was Ukrainian army.
Oh, really? Wow.
And
that I didn't know. I didn't hear that.
That running around the building were one of the TV broadcasting companies from the Ukraine. Also, John Sullivan, who was the one that filmed what seemed like the shooting of Ashley Babbitt.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've watched that, that doesn't add up, that whole thing, and I can explain that if you want. But he just happened to be there to shoot that scene, which is, if you saw the pictures before and so on, and what happened there, that's just impossible. He was there to shoot that before it happened.
Yeah.
And if you look at the gun, see, bullets that come out of guns usually go in the direction that the gun is pointing. Okay.
Common sense.
And if you look carefully, physics. And if you look carefully at the gun, it's horizontal. It's pointing horizontally, and she's up towards the ceiling, coming through this window, and supposedly got shot in her upper right shoulder. So how did that happen? I mean, but if you look at it carefully, you realize there's something wrong with this. And then you see there's two SWAT team members that are standing there against the partition. Now, I know some SWAT team members and some ex-SWAT team members, and there's one word that comes to mind when you meet a SWAT team member. And that word is steroids.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never met a SWAT team member that I thought I could take. Okay,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
right? You know, they're alpha males, and they're strong, and they're ready for the task, and they're brave men throughout the country. But none of them are scrawny little guys. And the two SWAT team members there are like a couple of actors, because there's no way that they're SWAT team members.
Yeah.
And they're standing by the partition just looking, and then they're told to move out of the way or whatever, and they end up walking away. And that's when she goes into the window and gets shot. And then there's a later video of those two guards changing into MAGA gear, changing their clothes, getting out of their police
I remember
uniforms.
that too. Yes, I do. I remember that. You know, it's just, to me, it's just I don't know, just to think of that our own government would do something like this just for the sake of holding on to power.
Well, they weren't our government. There was some of the
I
people
know
were
that,
in our government,
behind
but
it,
for
yeah.
the most part. Anyway, so then who was the first people to play the tape or the video of Ashley Babbitt getting shot? The Ukrainian Broadcasting Company, one of them. And where did John Sullivan go? To the Ukraine. So there's a lot of things. Look, the Ukraine did not want Donald Trump to win that election, because if Biden won the election, they would get money. Now, when we talk about the Ukraine, I'm not talking about the citizens of the Ukraine. I'm talking about the Azov Battalion. Okay, the people that sent that fellow Ryan, what's his name, to shoot Donald Trump. Yeah, these are the Azov Battalion is, for those in your audience that don't know, they are swastika flag carrying Nazis. Okay, they are the Fourth Reich. Yeah. And we dumped $350 billion into the Ukraine. Well, $350 billion is enough to not only do a lot of the things they needed with their armaments and so on, some of which they sold to the cartels and others, but that much money is enough to really finance the Fourth Reich to get a good start. So that's also what was going on here. So January 6th was far more than a bunch of protesters where things got out of hand. And we know what happened with the protesters. You start firing percussion bombs and tear gas into these protesters that are standing there in prayer or singing "God Bless America" and being peaceful and so on. It gets people outraged. And after the Metropolitan Police used up all of the tear gas, all of their percussion bombs and so on, then they went to their CS grenades, rifle grenades.
Yeah,
that's a gas that's prohibited in wartime. It's a war crime to use it, and because it not only is like tear gas, but it's 100 times worse. It makes you so you can't breathe, causes you to panic, causes you to become irrationally angry and hostile, and it just makes you feel like you're suffocating. There's nothing you can do, and this one idiot in the Metropolitan Police that was really firing most of the stuff at 2:24 in the afternoon, the same time that Donald Trump said that Mike Pence is a coward. He fired a canister of that CS gas toward the scaffolding that was there, but it fell short and it ended up going right to where the police line was. Oh. And that's what caused the police line to dissipate. Okay. It wasn't because all of the J6ers pushed them out of the way. They all retreated because they couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Because of that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same time that Donald Trump said that. So then the Unselect Committee, basically, they have Travis Evans up on a stage saying what Donald Trump said, that Pierce is responsible, is a coward, doesn't have the, whatever. And that's what caused everything to go wild. And for that, they had to change the entire reality because that didn't happen until 4:10 in the afternoon. And in the trial, they actually used, I understand, I didn't see it myself, but my understanding is they actually used videotape that changed the timestamp on it, and it's saying 2:24 in the afternoon when it's the real timestamp would have been 4:10, long after everything had started.
Yeah, they doctored the
blame
evidence.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use false evidence. I mean, they're criminals in many, many ways that these people are. Anyway, I'm sorry if I went too long about January.
No, it's just it's disgusting that our government would do something like this or be involved in something like this. We do have another guest coming in momentarily, but before we get to that, I just wanted to ask you about. I saw an article on a social media site. I think it was Getter, Bannon's thing, and it was talking about Tina Peters actually being moved. The DOJ wanted to move Tina Peters from the state to the federal custody. So what do you think about that? What could that do to her case?
I've been working on that with people in the DOJ.
Okay.
And it was all going to happen a couple of months ago or so. And that was also one of the things that I was unhappy with Blanche about, because it was all happening with the people it was supposed to be happening with. But he put a kibosh on it. It didn't happen because of him. And I think now he's cooperating and letting it happen because he wants to show that he's actually on the team, honoring the president's wishes. But he did it in such a way where he left something very important out of his letter, and I hope it won't make any difference. But he needed to put the cause, the reason that she's a necessary witness for the federal government. And there's no explanation that's put into it. And worse than he made it public.
Yeah, see, in the article that I read, it didn't say anything about being a necessary witness or anything like that whatsoever. All it kept on referring to was that, she's elderly and she has health issues. And that was really all the explanation that they gave for some kind of, I figured there had to be more involved than that. I mean, to go from state custody to federal custody is a big difference.
Yes. Well, there are investigations that are going on that I don't want, I'm not, it's not for me to talk about. And hopefully, we're gonna see some justice come about from some of these things. It's not just Todd Blanche though that's disappointing me. There's a number of people up there that are very disappointing, that aren't making the president's program go forward. And it's so disheartening to see the Republican senators. I mean, what do we have? 9 of them that are willing to go nuclear.
Yeah, it's 9.
What's going on?
See that?
What about the other 44?
Yeah, but see, going nuclear. If you're talking about the filibuster, I mean that concerns me because. I mean, I know the Democrats, as soon as they get the chance and the opportunity to and take over the Senate at some point, it's going to happen. They're going to end up doing it anyway, and then you're going to get all this far left stuff crammed down your throat.
You're thinking about things like in times of old, like 20 years ago. You're thinking about things even 10 years ago, where it really seemed that we had Democrats against Republicans, and government could go back and forth. But I'm telling you, it's not that way now. These are communists. These are people that are never going to give up power if they get power again.
I agree.
People are fooled in a way because they think we still have a fair system because Donald Trump was able to beat Kamala Harris and get into office. But notice the numbers. What did Donald Trump have? Like 77 million?
Something like that. Yeah.
And Kamala Harris had what, like 74, something like that. But Biden had 81 million. And we know that Biden didn't have 81 million. But the machines can easily conjure up those extra millions of votes.
Sure. Yeah.
Those machines were taken out by a certain very brave human being whose name I don't know. So somebody who deserves the Medal of Freedom, whoever that was. And that's why Donald Trump is in office now, because they weren't able to steal it, because those machines that basically organize how this whole thing works in terms of using those modified duplicates that are in the voter rolls, those machines were fried. Okay. Somehow the fans were turned off on them. That's what I understand. I don't know if that's the mechanism, but those machines in Serbia were not able to do what they were supposed to do. And that's why we don't have President Harris in office right now. That was a big shocker and a big mistake by the left. It's never going to happen again. These people learn everything that they can every single time they go through an election exercise or anything. They're never, ever going to have their machines vulnerable, and they're not going to have a lack of redundancy ever again. Okay? Yeah. So the only thing that we can do in 2026 is we better not have any machines in play. Because if we do have machines in play, we will lose it, and we're going to lose it forever. And using the nuclear option right now isn't like using the nuclear option 20 years ago, which would be, we don't want to turn our system into that. No, right now, we should consider ourselves on life support. We should consider ourselves having to do any heroic measures necessary in order to save our lives here. Because I'm telling you, what I saw and what I've been seeing with the weaponization of government under Biden is just what is the beginning. It's easy to see. It's just the beginning. They're not going to tolerate any of this. And where our gooses are cooked, if we need to, and if we have it in our heads, oh, well, our system, I don't want to do that. We're fighting for our lives now. And if we have to be the first to pull out a certain kind of a gun to be able to make sure that we don't get killed, because once we're done, we're done. It doesn't matter. They won't need the nuclear option. They're not going to need to end the filibuster. Nothing will matter after this. They will have absolute power.
Well, the left made it very clear. Dollar Store Obama, that's what I call him, Jeffries. He made it very clear that if and when the left does eventually take over again, they are going full bore. If you are a supporter of Donald Trump, if you are a conservative, you will be prosecuted. You will go to jail.
Well, and they could do it. They could do it with a military court. They won't even have a prosecution. They'll just arrest you and put you aside.
Yeah,
and that's just for now until they decide that you're not worth keeping. That's how it goes. This is how these things come about.
Yeah.
These aren't, people that respect your life, your rights, your ability to express yourself, your ability to continue to live. They are not the ones that are causing this takeover of the United States. These are people who will get you out of the way because you're an inconvenience, and they don't care about you. I mean, they want you dead.
And you're right, and you're absolutely. I mean, you just look at the communist takeover in China when that took place, and other communist governments, Cuba. I mean, it's just a violent takeover, and it creeps its way in. It's like, it's what it's doing right now. I mean, what are the Fabian socialists? I mean, they're creeping their way in. They just did it in New York.
I know. We need to get them out. We need to get them all out. We need to, we need to change the course of things.
Yeah.
And because these people are taking over, and the United States is the last country left. I'm also I'm representing a fellow, James Bowder, who led, organized the convoys that went to Ottawa.
Yes, I knew I recognized the name when you said it. Yeah, that's the Canadian truckers.
Yeah, Canada's gone. They want to put this guy in prison for a very long time because he dared to. They've got people in prison now just for speaking up against the government. So these countries are no longer free countries.
Well, look what's happening right now over in England. I mean, if you post something online, they come knocking on your door, and they'll take you out. I saw I didn't think to pull it out, but I saw a post on X and a couple of other social media sites right here in Texas. A guy had made a post that somebody determined to be anti-Israel, and Texas DPS showed up at his door, wanted to talk to him, and he told him to go kiss off. But and he had
Well,
the
we
video.
can still do that here. We can still do that here, but not if these people take over. And so these mini minds, and I'm sorry to call them that because you agreed with them that there is a concern. So forgive me for that. Because the last thing I want to do is put you in a that. But for these senators, they don't understand what the heck's going on. That this is a do or die situation, and we can't say, oh well, if they take over again, they'll behave themselves. They tried to pass it last time. They were down 2 votes. We had what's his name, Joe Mershon, from West Virginia. What's his name? Manchin. And there was another senator as well, a female senator, who basically opposed them doing it, so they weren't able to do it. But otherwise, they would have gone nuclear last time, and they're going to go nuclear if that's what they need to do. They're not going to. It's over if they ever come back in again. We'll never get another chance to beat the machines, and everybody will know it. It's going to be obvious, and there's not a damn thing anybody can do about it.
We just had an election here in Texas. Not an election, but voting on propositions. There were 17 amendments that were looking to put into the Texas Constitution, and no machines here where I am anyway. It was all paper ballot, and it was 1, 2, 3. I went in, I got my ballot, both sides, checked it all off, dropped it in the box, walked out, felt fine. It's the machines that make you nervous.
It's the machines and most people don't understand what it is in the machines and how the machines actually work. They think that we're dealing with dead voters that somebody's voting for because they're still on the voter rolls, or they think that somebody's going into the tenement buildings and the urban centers and giving everybody $10 and getting them to sign ballots, and then they're taking the ballots. And yes, that's happening, but that's nothing next to what the machines are able to do because of the millions and millions of modified duplicates that are in the voter rolls. And most people have no idea about what I'm talking about. When these were first discovered, they call them clones.
Yes.
And then now we switched over to modified duplicates. And I'm happy about that because I coined those 2 words. And I worked with Jerome Corsi on that. We can't have clones. People hear clones, they think we're science fiction. We got to get rid of that word. Yeah. So, Jerome, what do you prefer? I said, well, they're duplicates, but they're not really duplicates. They're modified. So, that's what we came up with, modified duplicates.
Yes.
And that's what it is. In other words, in your county in Texas, there could be 4 Joe Roozes, all with your social security number, your driver's license number, your telephone number, your address.
Yes.
That's right. Your date of birth may have been changed slightly, and there's a formula for how they do that. But it has a different voter identification number. And you may find in the next election, there's one of you that voted for Donald Trump, or, he can't run again, but let's just pretend. Yeah, one of you votes for Donald Trump, and the other 3 votes for Kamala. Okay. Well, the other 3 are the machines. And what those machines are doing is pulling up the hidden ones that are in the archives. See, nobody ever gets canceled. They call it getting canceled. Oh, this one's canceled because they're dead. This one's canceled because they moved to another state. But they're not canceled. They're in the archives. And all the modified duplicates are in the archives. So in a state like New York, at least Andrew Paquette estimates that there's as many as 2 million of these modified duplicates that are in the voter rolls of the state of New York. So, when you start thinking about, well, what does this mean and where are we with all of this? That's where they're taking over our country without firing a shot. Well, maybe there's a few shots that they fired. I mean, they did kill Seth Rich.
Yes.
And some others.
And they took they took shots at the president, and yeah. The one thing about no, and that's the thing too. And the scary thing is that if you poll the left, they are perfectly fine with political violence now, which is terrifying when you think about it. They have gone so far to the left.
I know, but not as many as you think. Those huge margins that voted for the left, those were the machines.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, probably we would have lost those elections anyway, but it never would have been to the margins that we did. They decided to make it by large margins. They have that ability. They can make sure every Senate race that comes up in 2026 goes to the left. And everyone will know that the fix was in, but nobody will be able to do a damn thing about it.
And that's what's incredibly frustrating. Yeah, and exactly, it's frustrating. Yeah, of course, but if it happens again to the extent that we're talking about right now, there is no recourse. You could complain about it as much as you want. You could do anything you want, but it will not change because they will have such a grip on power that they will silence you and eliminate you if they had to. Which they probably would. It's terrifying. It really is.
Without hesitation.
Yeah. It's terrifying to think about that, and I don't want to think about that. I have grandchildren. I want to see them growing up in an America that's free, that has liberty, that they can still do the same things that I did when I was growing up. They can, but that's not the world we live in anymore, at all. I am terrified at the direction this country's going. That's why I know some people think that I'm crazy when I talk about the possibility of states seceding from the Union of States. Like Texas, like California is trying to do it, and I don't know how serious it all is, but I know Texas is serious about it, and they're working their way through the legislative process on it, and it's. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But, sometimes I think that that's what's going to end up happening. If there is a takeover like we're talking about here, say they do rig the 26 and the 28 elections and they force a far left government upon us. I mean, what other recourse is there? I can see easily how states might pull out or try to pull out at least.
Yeah, but when you join the states, you're part of the agreement is that you're in the Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave. and they're not going to tolerate. If they take over, they've got our armed forces. I'm not sure what Donald Trump's going to do. I don't know how he's going to handle all of this, but there's just too many people around him that are disappointing him and not doing what he needs. And he needs to learn to get rid of people quickly if they're not going to be doing what he needs them to do.
I agree.
And there are so many people that love Donald Trump and would, like for me, if he says jump, I say from what floor?
Uh-huh.
And there's so many people that understand that our country is at risk. I would bet that you would do whatever you were asked to do if he would ask you to do it, if it meant saving the country.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
And look at what we did. We only there were so few troops that we had. 26,000 men altogether. 3% of the population participated in the Revolutionary War.
Yes, sir.
But look at what those men did. Their feet freezing while they're going across the Delaware and then marching across the frozen land with hardly any shoes on. Look at what they did and what they needed to do, and why? Because they weren't going to be ruled by the king.
Yeah.
You know,
I read an account.
They weren't.
I know there's a little bit of a delay, but I read an account. I taught a course on my Sunday show on the American Revolution, and because I love studying that period of our history. I think as much as and I get a lot of flack for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I know that people say that the generation that fought World War II was the greatest generation. Great generation, yes, but I think our greatest generation was our founding generation. And I've read accounts of these men leaving bloody trails in the snow, because they're marching barefoot and across these snow-filled, ice-filled fields. Ice is incredibly sharp. It cuts you like a knife. And they're marching across these fields to fight for the freedoms and the liberties that we have today, and look and where we are now. Well, then they say that the average lifespan of a republic is about 250 years, and look where we are. Look where we are. We are right at the precipice of potentially losing our republic. And I have to say,
we're being invaded, by the barbarians, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. The same thing like Rome. Rome was so spread out around the world, just like we are. There wasn't enough manpower left at home to defend the home, and wide open borders. You had all that stuff. The same thing that goes on here is what took place at Rome before Rome fell, and it was terrible. So I want to ask you really quickly before we wrap up, because our next guest has checked in here. I want to know, what do you think about what happened here in New York with Mamdani winning the mayoral election? What the heck happened up in New York there?
Again, there are foreign forces that are influencing everything. And even if he didn't have the votes, the machines would have given him the votes. I'm telling you, in the state of New York, there's 2 million modified duplicates in the tax rolls. I don't know how many are in the city, but you got to figure it's a good percentage of, if there's 8 million in the city and there's 18 million altogether in the state, or about that. So, about almost half of those numbers have to be in the tax roll, the voting rolls of the city. So they could have manipulated that any way that they wanted to. And of course, this guy is fantastic in terms of the way he's able to make things appear in the public like he's really being celebrated more than reality would have it be. But how did Hitler come to power?
It's very true. The same tack. It's exactly the same tack.
If it's tolerated, if we don't have a very strong central government to stop it, it's exactly the same tack. January 6th was nothing different than burning the Reichstag.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's so crazy.
It's very much the same.
Well, Peter, thank you, man. I appreciated this. I love having you on the show, and I want you to come on more often. So, anytime you have some free time, let's do something. And I'd like to get you to book on a day where we could just do the whole day, the whole show, just the two of us, because there's so much that we have to talk about, and we never really get through it all. And but I guess that's good, because then I get to have you come back. So
right. And we've dealt with a lot. We've dealt with the voting. We dealt with Stephanie Lambert's case. We dealt with Tina Peters' case a bit.
We got more covered today than we did the last time.
Yeah.
As far as the topic of conversation, the subject we wanted to talk about. But Peter, thank you again, sir. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate you. You are a scholar and a gentleman, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I give it right back to you, because you are.
Thank you, sir. So where can the folks go and find more information about you?
Oh, okay. Well, legalbrains.com. That's, our work is the legal work in the legal world, and we've got brains. So right. Legal Brains. And my email address is my initials, PT. So it's PT, like Papa Tango, at legalbrains.com.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, sir. Peter Ticktin, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you. Have a great one. And if I don't talk to you beforehand, have a great Thanksgiving and the best of the family.
Thank you.
All right. Take care now. All right, folks. Peter Ticktin, man, that's awesome. That is absolutely. I really do. I really do enjoy having Peter on the show. I mean, I've learned so much from having him around, and it's a real treat for me. So I hope it is for you, and I hope you like it. So drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. We have Rory Paquette waiting for us in the wings, but I need to use the restroom, so I'm going to take a little break here, and when we come back, we'll jump right in here with Rory, and we're going to talk about some really interesting stuff there. So, folks, don't forget, this is a Joe Rooz Show. It's a live show, weeknights, 7 p.m. Central Time. And don't forget to like, subscribe. And yeah, I'm still fighting the cold. A week now. It's been a steady week. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends, your family, your followers. Hit that like button. Share it because it helps the algorithm, helps it get found, and we'll appreciate all of that stuff. All right, so quick break, 3 minutes. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Please stay with us. All right, folks. Episode 200 rolls on. Celebrate. All right, so folks, first hour in the books. Peter Ticktin, first hour. Great guy. I love having Peter on the show. I keep on saying it. I do. He's great. All right. Don't forget, folks, to like, subscribe, and share. Get the show out there for us. Still fighting this cold, I know. And also, don't forget, I actually meant to mention it earlier. So we didn't have our show Wednesday night. So I don't know if you guys were wondering what happened. We had a computer crash, and I had to reboot the whole thing. I had to reinstall everything, and I had to do all of that, and I did not get it done in time for the show start. So we didn't do a show Wednesday night, but we rescheduled our guest. So we'll get that back to you very, very soon. Folks, Pro HVAC R Solutions leverages over 30 years of expertise in providing premier HVAC sales and repair services, specializing in both residential and commercial installations. Our team of skilled technicians is dedicated to providing efficient heating, ventilation, and air conditioning solutions for your home or business. With a focus on quality workmanship and customer satisfaction, we ensure your comfort all year round. Just contact Pro HVAC R Solutions today for reliable HVAC services tailored to your needs. Just visit prohvacsolutions.com. That's prohvacsolutions.com. And they're a local business here in Eagle Pass, Texas, so make sure you check them out. Great folks. They actually did the installation of my AC units here in the house when we did the renovations. So we really appreciate them. They're great folks. Do great work, meticulous work, by the way. So check them out right here in Eagle Pass. And then they also service the local area, so you can check them out. Pro HVAC R Solutions. All right. Joining us now is Rory Paquette. Rory is a professional podcaster, coach, author, and speaker. He currently hosts six different podcasts.
Right.
He's written 2 books, The Lone Wolf Selling System and The 5% Diet, which we will talk about because I need to trim down here a little bit. With 2 more books in the works, he has decades of experience in public speaking, coaching, management, and sales, and he has brought all of this together into his current coaching programs. Rory provides life coaching for men through his program, Power of One. He works with men and women in becoming better, more profitable podcasters through his podcast coaching program, Wake Up the Mic. He also offers his own affiliate program to podcasters who are looking to monetize quickly called the Rising Tide System. Rory, hey, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it, man. That was a great first segment you had going.
Oh, I love having Peter on. Excuse me. I am fighting a cold since last Saturday.
I heard.
This thing just
sorry to hear that, man.
This thing will just not go away. It's like ridiculous.
I feel you.
But yeah, Peter Ticktin's great, man. I got connected with him, and it was hysterical. And as a podcaster, you would appreciate this. So I do the live show, and I don't record the show, pre-record it anyway. I record it as I'm doing it, but he was supposed to be the guest on the show, and I was so excited to have him on because here I'm just building an audience, man. I don't have anybody really at the time he came on, and I'm like, here's a guy. He's personal friends with President Trump. They went to military school together. He's representing J6 people. He's representing Tina Peters in Colorado. He's representing the Lambert case out in forgot where it is, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah.
So I'm like, he reached out to us. How is that possible? So he came. So he was supposed to come on the show. I sent him all the links and everything, and like 15 minutes before, not even 15 minutes, 10 minutes before the show, his publicist calls, and she's like, "We're having a problem getting connected." And like he was like the only guest I had for the show that night. I had nothing else prepped, and I'm like, okay. And so we're trying to troubleshoot this whole thing, get this thing working. Couldn't get him on. His PR people were great, though. I mean, they found 2 people to replace him who jumped onto the stream. But of course, I don't know who these people are. I have no background on them. I have no bios. I have nothing. Don't know what we're going to talk about. But it worked. It actually worked. And then he came on about a week or so later, and I asked him one question, and that took up the whole show. And it's the same question I'm going to ask you. Okay?
Oh boy! All right, big shoes to fill here, man.
Big shoes, yes, sir. So, and that question was very simply this: what is something most people don't know about you but should?
Something that most people don't know about me. That's tough because I'm a very open book. I think
Everybody says that, but they all find something.
the biggest thing that people don't know about me, and they should, is that I'm just a big teddy bear, man. I mean, I look ferocious. Apparently, I'm scary to some people. Both of my daughters-in-law reported back to me at some point that they were a little intimidated by me when they first met me, stuff like that. But I'm just a big teddy bear, brother, and I think that's probably the one thing that nobody would guess about me. I'm kind of a large guy, but deep voice, and so on. But
Yes.
and I'm not really. I'm a pushover.
Yeah, I'm the same way. People get the one thing. Now, my background is my career. I worked for New York City for 25 years. I worked in law enforcement. I did investigative work for the agency that I worked for, and I retired from department operations. Then came down here to Texas, and I work in a local nursing facility here. And when I first got there, people were terrified of me. They thought that I was like coming to tear the place apart or something. And they were like, "Oh, we thought you were with corporate. We thought you were." No, I'm just. Why? You look mean.
It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean I look mean? I know, I get the same thing. So, but
and I had more black hair and all that stuff, so I wasn't as light and whatever,
light and fluffy as we are now.
Yeah.
Getting old stinks, man. I know.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm going to be 55 in 2 weeks, man. I cannot believe that's just.
I'm 55 now, man. It hurts.
You don't look
It's
55.
painful. Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate it. Neither do you.
Oh, well, I'm not there yet. That's why. I got 2 more weeks.
Exactly.
But it's crazy of people's perception until they get to know you, and then they realize that you're just a nice guy. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Just give me the bourbon first, and then I'm a really nice guy.
You're really, really preaching to the choir right now. I mean,
Oh, you're a bourbon guy?
Oh, absolutely. I should have brought one with me.
Beautiful. You know what? I don't, and that's the thing too. Like I needed to pick up a bottle because I'm running low, and usually on my Friday and Saturday, that's what I do. I'll after the show Friday night, I have a bourbon, and then usually on a Saturday afternoon, I'll have maybe not a lot, because at one point I was really bad with it, but now, like on the weekend, I'll just have like 1 or 2 drinks on a Saturday. But I'll go out to the backyard. I'll get a fire going in the fire pit. I'll sit there with a cigar and some bourbon and just relax. It's just one of those things. I love to do it. So, what's your favorite bourbon?
Oh goodness, I'd have to.
Or what's your go-to bourbon?
Well, my go-to is a real simple one, because I'm cheap. That's the problem. If it's for somebody else, I mean, I'll buy my kids, my wife, anything that I could possibly buy them. I'll get them all the best. But for me, I just don't splurge.
Okay.
The only time I do is when I'm with my son-in-law, and he's an aficionado. I mean, he's been on the bourbon trails and he knows it all, and he'll be like, hey, check this out. You got to try this one. And, I mean, there's some really nice ones over there. But I mean, I'm a Jim Beam Devil's Cut kind of guy at home, because it's $20 and does the job.
Okay. All right.
It's a nice, relaxing one.
Fair enough. Jim Beam is I like Jim Beam. I don't have it often. My go-to has been a bourbon I didn't know about until maybe 3 years ago. It's a bourbon called 1792. And I don't like I said, I've never seen it anywhere. I saw it here and I was like, oh, let me try it. The bottle looks nice, so let me see, how this thing is. And it was a little pricey. It was like, I think it was almost $70 for the average size bottle.
Sure.
But dude, oh my gosh.
That's smooth, huh? All right.
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So of course, after mastering the small batch, I had to experiment with the full proof that my local alcoholic place, recommended. So the full proof was 125 proof or something like that, 130 proof.
Mhm.
And I'll be very honest with you. I cracked the bottle, and something's told me, don't just dive into this. Let it breathe a little bit.
Right.
Crack this thing open, and as soon as I broke the seal, I got heartburn. That's how strong this thing was. It was terrible. It took me a month. It took me a month to drink that bottle because I couldn't do it. It was just I had to do small amounts, and small amounts. But I gained an appreciation for it.
Yeah, I love the old stuff, man. But yeah, I love the older stuff. I love the seasoned stuff. The age, that's great. But the high proof stuff, I'm too old for that now.
You know
Can't
what?
do this
I
kind of
give me 2 more weeks and I'll be too old for it.
thing.
The
I'm telling you, man.
well, we'll find out. But that and also I love Elijah Craig bourbons. Elijah Craig.
Okay.
It's I think it's considered the oldest bourbon in America. It's like one of the first original bourbons. And it's just so nice, and it pairs so nice with a cigar. And depending on which one you do, like I've said it many times on the show, my favorite pairing of Elijah Craig is Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. And do you know much about cigars at all? Anything?
I don't do the cigar part, no. But I mean, I do the bourbon on occasion, but the cigar part, I stay away from.
Well, the cigar that I choose for the Elijah Craig, the Toasted Barrel, is it's a Camacho Triple Maduro. So the Triple Maduro it's just, remember, Maduro is a darker leaf, darker wrapper, very strong, but it pairs so nice. And then you're talking about Triple Maduro, you're talking about leaf, filler, wrapper, all that stuff. That's all, pairs so nice with the Toasted Barrel. Oh my gosh. Do I have any?
I'm not sure you're going to make it through the show, man. You might.
I know I have
some.
I know I have some Toasted Barrel. I don't know if I have any Triple Maduros though. We'll see. But Avo Heritage cigars are great. They're fantastic. I love those. That's what I have in the humidor right now. I have some Rocky Patels in there. I have some really nice stuff.
Nice.
So, which I probably shouldn't smoke because the cold and everything. But
yeah, I was going to say, it might exacerbate the windpipe thing you got going there.
You have to yeah, I know, but you have to make sacrifices. If you're you got to do these things. You work hard all week, and then you come to the weekend. You do a show like this on a weekend on a Friday, and you got to do your thing. You got to relax.
Amen, brother. I mean, absolutely. You got to take care of yourself a little bit.
Yes, sir. So we already covered your what do people don't know about you. We got your beverage. So let me ask you. Oh man, ever since I had to redo everything, all these little notifications are popping up here. I don't know if you heard what I said before, but Wednesday show, I had everything lined up. Everything was great. I came into the studio. I started turning everything on, and I would click open my browser to load the studio, and internet would crash.
Nightmare. And
I'm like, what? Did it again, and I'm cursing my internet provider. I'm like, I'm paying all this freaking money for this thing with all this stuff, and I do it again, and I keep doing it, and I'm like, what's wrong? I checked the router's fine. I restarted it, everything was fine, everything was great, and then I noticed that I have a TV here, and it's connected to the Wi-Fi, but that was working. My phone was connected to the Wi-Fi. My tablet was connected to the Wi-Fi. Everything was connected. Everything was working. So I did the ultimate test. I have an Alexa. I asked her. I said, "Are you connected?" And she said, "Yes, I'm connected." Then why isn't my computer connecting? I went through the whole thing, but it was so close to showtime. I didn't know what else to do. So I tried restarting, and I tried resetting the drivers, all that stuff. Nothing worked, and I ended up having to factory reset the whole thing. And start from scratch. Wow. Thank God I have a removable hard drive, so I was able to back up all the show stuff, but I have to redo everything. And one of the things that I noticed that I didn't do is I didn't reset the encoder for the audio, because what I do is I stream the show live on audio, and I do the show on the video.
Sure.
So I'm not streaming live on the audio right now because I didn't reset the encoder, and when I was trying to do it, it took me an hour, and it will not connect to the server. So tomorrow I'll be speaking with customer service and finding out what the hell's going on here.
Sounds like sabotage to me, man. I think somebody doesn't like what you're talking about.
I think you might be right. You might be right. I do talk about a lot of controversial stuff like bourbons and cigars and things like that.
January 6th. Yeah.
Yes, that too. Yeah, that does creep in every now and then. So, hey, here's a question for you. A stupid question. I know it's not even in my notes, but just a question for you. when you started podcasting, how long ago, about more or less, did you start doing this?
About 7 years.
Okay.
Give or take.
I started doing stuff like this back in when it was called internet radio, before it was called podcasting. So you're talking 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. All right. So, and on and off, like most podcasters. But did you ever notice, because somebody pointed this out to me, that whenever you go through a drive-through, all of a sudden podcaster voice comes out?
Yes, it happens to me all the time. It really does.
It's crazy, right? All of a sudden, it's like, "Hi."
Yeah, exactly. I'll be talking to my wife, and I look over, and I'm like, "Yeah, I need 3 Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and I'd like a large fry with that, please." And yeah, it's exactly what happens. You can't help it. You can't.
No, it's a trip. It's a trip. So tell us a little bit about life before podcasting. What did that look like for you?
Oh, goodness gracious. Life before podcasting, in a lot of ways, was great. I'm a father and a husband, and I have 3 of the best kids in the planet, and lived for them for decades. I have a wife who's, way too good for me, just way, way too good for me. Could do better than me on accident. And I spent most of my time in sales, so I have always been that guy going out there going, all right, hey, I don't want to work for a salary. I don't work for, an hourly. I just want to go out and eat what I kill, type of thing. So,
Nice.
I had a very successful sales career, entrepreneur, had my own real estate firm, that kind of thing. So in short, that was kind of life before podcasting. Raising kids, mostly coaching sports, especially, takes every minute of your day.
Oh yeah, I know. I have 2 kids myself. And like yours, I'm sure they're probably mine are older, and they're on their own. Like my daughter is she's just turned 29. She's lives up in New York, and married. She has 3 beautiful children. I'm a granddad. So
congrats on that, man. I'm still waiting on that milestone.
Yeah, that's I'm not ready for it, but I'm not old enough. I'm not grandpa yet.
You will be in a couple weeks.
Yeah, 2 more weeks. I will be grandpa.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely. I will wear the mantle then proudly, but until then, I'm just that crazy guy who lives in Texas. And then I got my son who's 26. He'll be lucky if he makes it to 27, because he's just a lunatic. But I love him. He's a great kid. And then I have my other 2. I have my Frenchies. They're in the other room there. My boy Charlie, who momentarily he already did actually, but you might hear him again. Because usually about 30 minutes before the end of the show, he somehow knows, and he's at the door howling. So, and I think I like to pat myself on the back that I trained them to watch the show, because I put it on the TV in the living room for them while they're out, so they can watch the show,
Excellent.
and so they're not by themselves out there for too long, and because they're by themselves all day, Then I come home and I do a 2-hour show, and then so they're by themselves most of the time. So I put the show on for them. So I think they learned like certain keywords that I say that they know it's time to wrap up.
They know the end is coming. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, so those are my 2. My boy Charlie, he's 4. My girl Beanie, she's 5.
Wow.
And so,
I got to give you all the credit in the world. I couldn't be doing another 4-year-old right now.
No. Well,
no way, brother.
And he's a 4-year-old. Trust me.
Wow.
He's a 4-year-old.
Mine are very similar in age to yours. My daughter's, like 32. I got a son that's 25. My youngest son's 21. And that's it. There's nothing after that. No more Paquettes after that. Football coaches have been asking for years. No, there's no more Paquettes after that until they're grandkids.
Nice.
And then we'll turn them over to the high school. But until then, no.
How do you say? So I know I mangled your last name. I've been saying your last name all day today, so I knew I wouldn't make a mistake. And of course, the show starts when I do. So how do you? Because you pronounce it differently than I did.
It's all good, brother. I've heard it butchered so bad, and as long as people don't add 3 or 4 letters, really, I don't bother correcting anybody. It's just Paquette.
Paquette.
That's it.
Okay.
Simple, easy. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's French. The rest of me is Italian. It just works out.
All right, I see a paisan. Okay.
Yeah.
So my full last name is Rusciello. So it's a much and I've heard, and unlike you, I don't correct them. I usually say, all right, it's close enough.
Yeah, that's all I do. I get Parquette, I get Parchetti, I get Paquetta.
Okay.
I've gotten Parquet. I got Parquet so often. I went to football camp once when I was in high school, and I literally just wrote Parquet,
Like
Parkay, on my
Like
helmet. And they called me Parquet for a whole week because I just didn't want to hear the name get butchered every 5 seconds.
Sometimes you
I just
just give
want to play
up.
ball.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to give up and you just got to do your thing.
That was it.
Now, Sorry again. Now I was looking at your bio, and you talk about something that took place about a year or so ago. If the bio is up to date,
Yeah.
and this was that you were lying on the floor in an emergency room. Can you want to talk about that? Can you tell us about that? What that was all about?
Yeah, sure. I've had a couple of really low points in my life, and that was one of them. That was the most recent, and hopefully the last, because whatever God's been trying to tell me in the message, I think I finally got it. But
Yeah.
it took a while. That was I was kind of like you, like right now. I hate to say it, so be careful. All right,
Okay.
with what you got. I just figured it was, being old, catching the funk, flu that wouldn't go away. And turns out I had pneumonia for over a year that I had been carrying around. I had no idea. And
Interesting.
my lungs got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, one of the nurses at my at the nursing facility, asked me about that. She was like, have you gone to the doctor to get checked? I'm like, no. She said, don't you think you should?
Go.
You've been coughing and hacking for a week. I'm like,
Go.
all right.
Let them look at you. I mean, I don't like medication at all.
Yeah,
I
me
hate
neither.
the doctor. So,
I'll
but
go Monday.
if I would have gone ever to the doctor, maybe they would have caught it. But over a year, it would just built up and built up and built up, and I finally got to a point where I couldn't breathe anymore, and it was really horrible. Like the week before that, I was visiting with my younger son and his now wife, and they were like, "Man, Dad, you're really sick. What's going on?" And I had no real idea. I just figured it was a really bad flu, But by the end of that week, it was really horrible, and it was kind of like timing my wife's contractions. They were getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it was time to
Okay.
go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Well, my breathing was doing that, and I said, okay, at this rate, I looked at my wife. I said, at this rate, 20 minutes from now, I'm not breathing anymore. And she goes, okay, that's not good. I said, no, we got to go to the hospital. So she turned me in the truck and broke about 18 laws to, get me there. I mean, faster than any ambulance, I'm telling you right now. And just in
What a good
time.
woman does.
Just in time. Yep. She I pulled up. I jumped out of the car and tried to get into the emergency room and started blacking out as I went in. And I don't know if I said anything or not, but I tried to, and took what I thought was my last breath and hit the floor. That was it. I thought I was done. Got to be honest with you. I was going down, going, "Whoa, this is what it's like." Slam into the ground. But that was it. So the lung had completely filled up. It was totally frozen, and the other one had just given up. It was like, I can't carry this big guy and this broken lung anymore, and it just quit on me. Said, forget it. So it was, made it to the hospital, and I woke up with tubes everywhere and the whole 9 yards. And about 3 weeks later, almost a month later, we left the hospital after a whole bunch of procedures and one major surgery that should have killed me, to be honest.
Wow.
And here I am today. Healthy as an ox.
Thank God for that.
Yeah,
but that's good though. I mean, all the joking around aside, it's thank God that you got taken care of the way when you did as fast as, and it took you a while, but at least you got taken care of, and you're still here, and you have beautiful family to take care of, and I'm sure they appreciate you being around. So that's great. I'm glad that you're on a better path right now. Now, how did all that lead to the life of a podcast host and a coach?
Well, I was podcast hosting and coaching prior to that. And, it was funny because I was doing podcast host. I was hosting episodes of a couple of my podcasts, and I'm sitting here with like the tea and, the lozenge, and I'm like sucking it. Yeah, I'm sucking on it in between takes and then sort of sticking it in my cheek so I can actually ask a question, and you do it like you're doing now. You do what you got to do to get through the interview. But it had kind of gotten funny. Like, all right, I got to get my tea, got to get my coffee. I got to go back and forth because they only work in tandem. It was such a mess. But I was already doing that for several years prior to all this happening. So when I went down, the communities that I had built through podcasting responded like crazy. They were all like, "Oh man, Rory, what do you need?" And I had people who were, 8 states away who I'd never even met in person, but were like sending stuff, to my wife to, help us out and stuff like that. So it was really neat. It was really neat in that I got to see what the podcaster community really was like, firsthand like that.
Yeah.
And, it was cool. We built from there and kind of took off.
It's interesting. The podcasting community, as big as it is, because there are millions of podcasters.
Oh yeah.
of the millions of podcasts, only a fraction really are active. I think I read something. It was like 4 million something podcasts that are registered, but barely 40,000 or 400,000 or something like that. Whereas is actually working, doing
right
things.
About that. Yeah, exactly.
And one of the things I said at the start of this show was, what's really an accomplishment for us is that this show we hit episode 200 today.
That's awesome.
Congrats. Oh, thank you. And people say big deal, right? You talk to people outside of podcasting, like, okay, and
right.
Wow. Well, you don't realize that most podcasts die at 10.
Right.
They don't come back.
Yeah, 20 is your first milestone.
Yeah, exactly.
You hit 20, you celebrate.
Exactly. And you know what? The funny thing is, my audio host platform, Podhome, they sponsor the show. They actually send you, when you hit 10 episodes, 20 episodes, 50 episodes, 100 episodes, 150, you get these little badges that they send you, and they give you like little perks. You'll get little discounts, something off your bill and whatever it is. It's pretty neat that they encourage you to go along and do that. And so it's fantastic. So I'm just curious, what my little gift is going to be for number 200 today.
Well, hopefully it's pretty good. Maybe at least a chicken sandwich or something. Something
yeah, Chick-fil-A is good. Yeah,
that'll work.
But I did find out though how the podcasting community takes care of each other. Like I'm dealing with something right now. I hate taxes, man.
Yeah.
So the county increased one of the taxes that we pay on the property. Okay. And so much so that it sent us into a $3,000 escrow shortfall.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Which I could either pay up front, which I don't have, or I could, maybe if I didn't buy so much bourbon, I would, but in retrospect.
Right.
It's either pay it up in front or you spread it out. And spreading it out increased my mortgage payment by almost $400.
Oh my goodness.
So everything is incredibly tight.
Wow. Yeah.
And the first payment, I don't know if you hear Charlie, but he's howling at the door. So the first payment had to be this month. So that was a bitter pill to swallow when I saw that payment come out.
Sure.
But I set up a GoFundMe, and I had two people that I know that are in the podcasting community donated quite a bit towards it.
Wow.
And I say, okay, so one was $100. All right, now to me that's quite a bit.
That's a lot. Yeah, it is for one person, right?
And the other one donated $300 to it, and greatly appreciated. I mean that's big.
That's really cool.
So of course I'm trying to get some more to send in in a lump payment, so it actually affects the mortgage.
Right.
It's but that's the podcasting community. I just had a conversation. I was just saying, man, I got screwed on this, and the next thing I know, and I was like, I set up a GoFundMe, so we'll see what happens. Oh, well, what's the link? I'll share it around. Oh, okay, yeah, sure, here it is, and boom, next day.
Right.
It's but that's the podcasting community. We do kind of look out for each other. Because it's not competition. It's not like I'm not trying to do better than you are, and I'm not trying to do better than anybody else. And I'm, we each have our individual little niche. We have our audience that we go to, and there's plenty of it to go around. So but that's the thing about podcasting that I love, is that it's a big community, but yet everybody seems to have some kind of an interaction or connection somewhere along the way.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure Dave Jackson, right?
Oh yeah, I've had him on one. Yeah, I've interviewed him on one of my podcasts. So.
I had him on mine, and I actually, when I first started doing the not this podcast, the one I did right before this one, oh my gosh, it just flipped out of my head.
And you're only 54.
Yes. Adam Curry.
Oh yeah, I had him on the same podcast as Dave. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Adam Curry referred me to Dave.
Mm-hmm.
To get the basics on, because I had a bunch of questions. I had just bought a mixing board. I didn't know the first thing about it.
Right.
Because the show I did back in New York, we had all that stuff, but we had an engineer.
Right. when you have those assistants doing it for you,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
whole different world.
exactly. And so I learned I learned a hell of a lot from Dave, and then had him on the show, and it was great. Have him on here. I picked up a lot from that, and but that's the community. We all know each other somehow, some way. There's some kind of connection.
Yeah, exactly.
So now you're hosting 6 shows,
Mhm.
which is a struggle. Because most people struggle with one. I struggle with one. How do you keep up with it? Like, how do you keep up with the creativity? How do you keep the energy going? Keeping it fresh. And especially you have so many different formats you work with. So how do you do it all?
I love every minute of it, and I do it full time. I'm not trying to work another job or anything like that. This is what I do for a living. I'm incredibly fortunate. When I was in that hospital, I had a lot of long nights where I was in so much pain I couldn't sleep, and my wife was there every minute, and we talked about a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
And you can only watch Welcome Back, Kotter reruns so many times before you go, all right, I got to turn the hospital TV off because it's just useless. But we did. We had a chance to reconnect in a big way, and we talked a lot about, like, okay, kids are all grown. I'm not going to die now for a little while anyway. So now what?
Yeah.
And we both just decided we needed to reinvent everything. And we decided to downsize and go minimalist. And, like, why do we have this expense? I don't know. Forget it. And in doing that, it became possible for
Mhm.
me to, with the help of my wife and our family, it was like, I can go pursue this now. What I really want to do. And I did. And honestly, I haven't looked back since. It's been just amazing to do it full time every day. And I'll be honest with you, Joe, I'm working more now, working, right?
Yeah.
Working more now than I ever did. I start a day at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes to talk to somebody over in Germany or Iceland or something.
I've done it. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. And then I have, interviews, like tonight, it's 10 o'clock Eastern time here.
Yeah. You signed
I
on
had
late.
one.
So
What's that?
You signed on late.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I
Yeah.
was actually here 10 minutes early, and I tried to come in and got kicked out. And
Kick
so I
you
was
out.
like,
I didn't kick you out.
it booted me out, and it put me to the StreamYard sign up. And I went, all right, he must not want me on stage yet. So I was waiting.
No,
I
I
was
wouldn't.
watching you on YouTube till you had a break with the guy.
No, I wouldn't do that. I know. I saw you pop up on the little screen down there, and I was like, oh, I thought maybe you had a problem with your camera or something like that, and I was waiting for you to come, and because when I saw you pop up, I said to Peter, I said, well, we're gonna next guest is ready to come on in, so
Yeah.
and then he disappeared, and I was like, okay.
Well,
Guess he didn't want to be on the show. He probably checked in, saw what was going on. I was like, oh, frig no, I'm out of here.
No, I was just like, hey, he's in the middle of a really good conversation with this guy, and I know who he is. I mean, he's been all over the headlines for his January 6th work alone, and so I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm not getting in the middle of this. So I was watching your show for a few minutes, and I said, I'll check back in a few minutes. And before I know it, I'm enthralled in your show, and it's quarter after, and I'm like, oh wait, I gotta try and get back in here.
I'm supposed to be there.
And I'm like, yeah. So I was here, man.
All right.
Didn't raise my hand.
On a technicality, we'll
right.
we'll let it pass on a technical. But go ahead. I didn't mean to
your elders. Okay, come on.
Yes, sir. Yeah, for
All
2
right.
weeks.
Right on. Yeah. So anyway, but then we have nighttime meetings like this, like I talk about. So I'll work nonstop. I'll do 12 interviews in a day. Sometimes between interviews and coaching calls, I'll take 12 meetings. All day long with maybe 15-minute breaks in between, and I just love every minute of it.
Yeah.
I'm just charged the whole day because it's. You're meeting new people and you're telling new stories, and I'm working on with 6 different podcasts. I'm not talking about the same thing either all day. It's different subjects and different topics, and it's just amazing to be doing what I'm doing. It's surreal, to be honest. I can't believe it really is happening some days.
It is, and that's a great thing. I'm glad you brought that up because you talk to people outside of podcasting, people who really don't do it, and they don't understand what you get out of it. Since I've been doing this particular show, like I said, I did the internet radio thing back in the day, and it was great. It was me, two other guys. We had a blast. It was a lot of fun. And then I did another podcast for almost 3 years. I did it, and it was a Bible study podcast, and I just taught the Bible. and I did it twice a week. It was a lot of fun. I loved doing it. And then I went to take a break, and then while I took the break, I was like, I kind of want to dip into something different. And then this came.
Yeah.
This was not supposed to be this. This was when I first started doing this. My plan was very simple. I'm going to do a pre-recorded show, audio only, whenever I feel like it. I am not doing anything scheduled or programmed or whenever. If I find somebody I want to talk to, I'll do that. And my first show was with the owner of Podhome, my audio platform.
Mm-hmm.
So he came on the show, and it was a lot of fun. We did that, and then I interviewed the former city manager for Eagle Pass. He actually came to the studio. We did an in-studio audio thing. We got hammered because we were sampling bourbons while we were doing the show. So it was 2 hours of us slushing our way through, which was kind of fun. But again, just recorded and didn't do it live. It was that type of thing. And then one day, I don't know what made me do it, but I did a live audio show only. And then, like most government programs, you start doing video, and all of a sudden, it just continues. So, but then it went from just, doing it every so often to, I had a stretch from, I think it was June up until the end of September, where I was doing shows every single night of the week. Every night. I had a guest every night. And it was like crazy. It was crazy. And I have somebody who helps me, Angela. She's my producer.
Producer, yeah. Right.
Yeah. And she is fantastic. She donates. See, I work off the value for value model. I'm sure you know what that is. So she donates her time and her talent. And she does amazing work. And I really appreciate everything. She keeps me focused on what I'm doing. And it's fantastic. And I never met her face to face. I've spoken to her on Zoom calls and stuff like that, and phone calls and text, but never met her face to face. I don't know where she gets the time to do this stuff, because she's helping 2 other podcasts or 3 other podcasts, and she has 3 kids, and she homeschools the kids, and her and her husband live and work a ranch. That's their income and their profession.
Wow.
And she's involved in political action committees and all that stuff. And I'm like, where do you find time for this? This is like insane. But then I realize when I get up in the morning and I see that the emails from her at like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, that's why.
There you go.
So I'm over here getting up at 7 o'clock to get to work for 8. But it's grown so much. And one of the things that I was always trying to explain to people is, I've met people in the course of doing this that I would never have met any other way.
Right.
And I have learned so much from so many different people that I would never have been exposed to in a million years. Like, I've interviewed Nobel Peace Prize nominees. I've interviewed theologians and doctors and lawyers and writers and podcasters and coaches. I've met so many paranormal investigators. I have interviewed so many people. I interviewed a blue cartoon cat. Did you know that?
A blue cartoon cat.
Yes. One of the first ones I did when I hooked up with Podmatch, which is
that's the guy that does the Google thing now, right?
He might be, yeah.
I was gonna say, because I think I interviewed that guy.
I
I remember him talking about this, how we used to do a blue cartoon cat thing.
Yes, he's a blue cartoon cat. He can't. I didn't think he was going to come on
in
the
England
show.
or something, right?
Oh no. He's here in the States.
All right. Anyway,
but
go ahead.
At any rate, he's I wasn't expecting him to come on as the character. Because
he came on as the blue cat.
As the blue cat. I wasn't expecting that, and so I'm sitting here and I bring him in, and I see this blue cat pop in. And a friend of mine was watching the show back in New York, and he sent me a text. He goes, "You should have seen your face when the cat popped up." He was like, "You got to work.
What is going on?
You got to work on your poker face." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but so that's why I like audio, because I can make the faces and nobody knows."
Right. Well, when you're live, I mean, you're stuck.
Oh yeah,
no, but lose the poker face live, you're done.
Yeah, but it was a great interview. It really was. We had a lot of fun, a lot of good conversation. But you meet people, you learn things that you never do, and and people outside of podcasting don't understand that. Like, I look forward to this.
Right. Me too.
Every day. Like, I wish that I was in a position like you're in, where I could this could be the focal point of my day every day, because I think that I know that if I had more time to put into it, the show would be bigger than what it is.
Right.
You know, I'm very pleased with my downloads, my plays on the audio. I'm very pleased with my interactions with the audience. I know I only have like tens of people watching right now, but barely tens of people. But you know, you know, I know that if I was able to invest more time in promoting the show and hitting the social media, because I am terrible with the social media, because I don't have time for it. Right. You know, doing the newsletters like everybody does, I don't have time for it. I don't. You know,
I hear you, man.
So it's like,
I do.
If I didn't have the regular everyday job, that's 8 to 10, 12 hours a day that I can invest in building this into something that I could do every day and love every minute of it.
That's why I say it's surreal to be able to do it. I don't know too many people who have been able to do this. Most of the time when I talk to folks,
it's rare. It's rare.
They can't yet. And if you have kids at home, you can forget it. I mean, I don't think there's any way you could do it if I had my kids still at home and I was trying to be, you know, a dad, you know, first, like I always was all those years, there'd be no way I could do this right now. I mean, and I would gladly, you know, take care of my kids, but they're all grown. They're all living their own lives. They're you know, forging their own way and making their own adventures. And I'm just an on-call life coach for all them. You know, they need something, they call Dad. And, you know, hey, Dad, you know, what do you think about this? I tell them, okay, great. Love you. Bye. I mean, there's not a whole lot of, you know, fluff either. It's kind of like, got what I need, got to go, you know, but I love that they still ask me questions and stuff about that. So, you know, I've kind of moved into that role. And so now it's, wow, you know, what do I do? I got the whole day. Well, then let's fill it up. Let's interview everybody I can get my hands on, you know, this type of thing. It's just amazing, man. It really, really is.
So what are the types of shows that you do with your podcast?
Well, thanks for asking. I appreciate that. I've got the 6, like I said. The first one, and that was my flagship podcast, the one I started, that I'm still doing. It's called Power of Man. And it's you know, it was a masculinity podcast that also, you know, we work with husbands and fathers. You talk about accountability, you know, that type of thing. The masculinity space is really crowded with, you know, throwing axes and, you know, hunting and everything else, and that's great. All those shows and all those guys have you know, great platforms. I'm literally just a dad who has been taught, and a husband who's been talking about all the mistakes I made and all the scars I have, and letting other dads know, you know, whatever you're really is killing you right now, I get it, because I've been there and you're not alone. Yeah, that was kind of the whole point to the podcast. We're almost 350 episodes on that one, and been doing that a long time. Then the second one I started was The Podcaster Nation, which was just awesome. And I literally interview podcasters about being podcasters, and we kind of, you know, get their story as to why they became podcasters. And I've gotten to know so many people through that. You know, we just hit episode 150 on that. You know, that community of podcasters really showed up when I got ill, you know, a year ago, and I had that whole thing happen. After that, I had a real strong calling to do something about the fact that everybody kept coming on my podcasts and saying, is it okay to talk about God here? And I was like, why are all these people? I had pastors coming on who were saying that to me. And I'm like, listen, I don't care where you are. Why are you saying that right now? And I was talking to my wife, and I got a real loud download that said, what are you doing about it? And I said, well, nothing. I'm complaining about it. So I started a podcast called Wake Up the Lions, which is a place for Christians to come, share the testimony, encourage others to do the same. We talk about spiritual warfare and, you know, developing discipleship, stuff like that. Great. And that podcast has taken off. That's really been huge.
Which is interesting because one of the things that I studied was podcast growth, like subjects, topics of podcasts, and Bible study or Bible related podcasts really take a long time to get a hold and to grow. It's like the Bible study podcast that I was doing. Um, I think when I stopped doing it, I had like maybe 60 people following on Rumble,
Yeah.
And that's over 3 years. I'm doing this not even a year. I have over 500 right now. It's funny, but Bible studies do struggle, or those types of shows do struggle to gain an audience. But it's important work, though. I think so. I still do the Bible study show on Sundays. Every Sunday I still do my Bible study show. It's under this show. It's not under the old one, but it's under this one.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Like I wasn't planning on doing it. I just one day I just said, you know what, I miss it. I need to do it, and so I started doing it again. And I look forward to it as much as I look forward to doing the shows during the week. I just feel like I shows during the week are with guests, and this is just me, the audience, and the Lord. And it's I look forward to it. It's a lot of fun. Then I do a crypto show every other Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
This show, same show, but I have a resident crypto psychic.
Now, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a job right there.
Yes, and she's fantastic. She's amazing. People think I'm being sarcastic when I say it that way. My resident crypto psychic. No, but she is. She's that's what she does. She uses her psychic abilities to do crypto predictions and discussions. But it's not sticky. It's serious conversation. We have some really good, and she really knows her stuff. And so that's great. And those shows I do fantastic on. Those I get like between 3,000 and 6,000 video views on that in a day, just on that. So that's a lot of fun. So I'm starting to wonder if I should just change my subject matter, because content is key, right?
I would never give anybody advice on anything like that, but I really enjoy all the different content that I get to deal with. Wake Up the Lions. I expected that, to be honest. I expected it would take a long time. When I put it out, I booked it as a once a week podcast. I knew I had 4 or 5 guys that would come on and, share some testimony. Through Power of Man, I figured I had probably 20 or 30 that I figured would step up, and come on over and, be interviews for me. I had a whole bunch of, solo stuff that I really wanted to do, that kind of thing. So, but I really did think it was going to take a while, and it didn't. It just, it blew up more than the first 2 in terms of how quickly, it kind of got
great.
there. And I was really surprised, and still am, but anyway, that one's going well. After that, I started just kind of feeling a need for certain groups of people that I was working with. So the 4th one that I started is called Step Up to the Mic, and that's to help people who were trying to get into public speaking. I did a lot of that before COVID, and so I know how to kind of help folks with that. And the podcast itself is designed so you come on the podcast and I introduce you, and then my camera goes off and you give your talk.
Nice.
And, one of the biggest issues for people who are trying to go out and become speakers is they can't seem to find a way to get recorded doing their speech. And it's like, well, just have someone do it. And that's just terrifying to everybody. So I invite them on the show. They do the thing, and then when it's over, I come back on. We do maybe a 4 or 5 question Q&A, and then they have a link to send off to, planners and schedulers and everything else to apply for jobs. Yeah. And so that's been a really fun one.
I don't think I've seen a show like that.
I didn't see one at all. And that's where Podcaster Nation came from. And I hadn't really seen a lot of that, where a podcast for podcasters to highlight the folks that are on this side of the mic, where you and I always are. And so I put the same sort of, thinking into that. Well, and then I went, I know there's a lot of podcasts out there that are for authors. And I said, so what if I did a little different? And we're going to talk about your book. And I know you want to come on here to talk about your book and try to sell your book and everything else, but I want to know what's inside the book. I want to know what is inside you that you put into the book. Why'd you write the book? You know what I mean? What actually happened in your life that led to the book? It's really about the author.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of an anti-Chat GPT, feel and move to the podcast. One of the lines in the opening is, where actual authors still matter, type of thing.
I like that.
And that's gone crazy. I put out 3 episodes so far, and I think we broke 3,000 downloads like within 3 days.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was like, how? I don't even know what that secret sauce was, but and people just kind of love it. And then the last one I did with a co-host. So for the first time, I'm working with a co-host. She's been a friend of mine for 10 years, and she's a podcaster also. And we were I've interviewed her, she's interviewed me, back and forth, and we both were really moved by what happened with Charlie Kirk.
Mhm.
And we were talking about that a lot. And she said, I really want to do a podcast like a Charlie Kirk type thing, but I want to make sure it's rooted in faith. And so we're going to talk about politics, but from a faith-based standpoint.
That's good.
And I was like, wow, that's a cool idea. And she goes, do you know anybody? And I was like, do I know anybody? She goes, well, I'd ask you, but you got 5 podcasts, and I was like, well, I would do it with you. And she just was like, wait a minute, what? You'll do it with me? And so we started Boiling Point, Faith and Fire is the name of that podcast. And that has not only taken off, but gotten more hate than I ever dreamed of getting in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I've been called a heretic many times.
I'm sure you do. I've heard your past episodes, man. I looked you up.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah.
So that's it, man. A long story. I apologize, but 6 podcasts. That's kind of what they're all about, and that's what we do on each one.
So I'm going to ask you, so what's the ingredient to a podcast that actually lasts?
Loving it. Honestly, just loving it. Because if you're the host and you love it, and you love the podcast, and you love the mission behind the podcast, you love the purpose, and every time you get on an episode, you love what you're doing and what you're talking about, you can do that forever. You never get tired of that. You don't get burned out. You've probably, gotten it too, but I've gotten 4 death threats, man. It's like,
I haven't had that many, but
okay.
But I did have one. I did have one, and I had a stalker.
There you go.
I did have a stalker, which was kind of nice, actually. It made me feel like I accomplished something.
You're somebody then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for a long time, I was like talking about how I had 3 death threats, and I was like, I'm kind of stuck at 3, And then we got the 4th, and I went, oh, well, I'm back in the game. All right,
what's your target?
Apparently, the masculinity thing and the father thing is what really trips everybody out.
Yeah.
Bad,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that's where all the hate really has come from with everything I've done. I put up a post for Wake Up the Lions the day before it came out. I put out a reel just with the cover, and I said, hey, for Christians to share their testimony, blah, blah, blah. I got 300 comments on it in 24 hours, and 225 plus were horrible. Just telling me, you better not, and you miserable, and you racist, and you this, and you that. And I was like, wow, I didn't say any other religion was bad. I just said, hey, let's celebrate this one. No, you know how it is in social media, man. There's no reason.
Part of the reason why I'm glad I'm really not that involved in it, because I'll get myself in more trouble, But I have found, though, that with the Bible study podcast, at least with the Bible study shows that I've done, that the quote unquote brethren are the ones that are the most vicious.
Yeah, that's I wish I could say I'm surprised. To be honest with you,
you can't. Like I have a very strict view of Scripture. All right, and we're not going to get into all that stuff right now, but just as a point, because we'll be here until tomorrow morning.
Right.
But I have a very strict view of Scripture, and I believe, and I only use the King James Bible. Okay. And I'm very firm on that one. As a matter of fact, I have done shows where I have pointed out where the modern translations are grossly deficient, and how they've changed things, changed verses, taken out words, changed things around. And when in some cases, in a lot of cases actually, when you change one word to make it more readable, it changes the whole point of the verse.
Right.
Or if you take a word out. And like just one example is that I use a lot is in the book of Colossians. It says, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, right? The King James Version.
Okay.
The modern versions take the blood out. They just say, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. Well, as a Christian, what saves you? It's the blood of Christ.
Blood of Christ.
So why would you take that out? So I pose questions like that, and I'll point those things out, and I did a show one time where I just went through. I had like 30 verses that I pulled from the Old and New Testament and showed how it was changed and the impact of the change. On doctrine, which is important. I think doctrine is very important. You need to have solid doctrine. So I got emails from people saying, crawl back under the rock that you came out from, your KGB only cult, and
Right.
called me a Ruckmanite and all that stuff because okay.
Yeah, other Christians
Other
call you.
Christians, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Look, you call me whatever you want. I don't really care. All I know is that when I stand before the judgment seat of Christ and he says, "Would you do it, my book?"
Mm-hmm.
I can say I believed it.
Right.
And other people are gonna, well, you changed it. You did this. You did that. Well, okay. But anyway, like I said, we can get into that
book,
for hours. Yeah, we get to that. I love that stuff. But loving it is important. I agree with you. You have to love what you're doing, and it comes through. It's people see it. I honestly, I love to watch or listen to a podcast where you could tell that the host is prepared, that is comfortable with the material, and it's not robotic. It's an actual conversation. That's the type of thing I like. That's what I try to do with my show. Is I keep it conversational. I'm not looking to put somebody in a corner and chastise them for what they think and what they say. What you got to say, man. Just go ahead, let it rip. It's all good.
Exactly.
You're not going to upset me like Peter. Like when we had Peter Ticktin on earlier. We were talking about the filibuster. I don't know if you heard that one.
Yep.
We were talking about the filibuster, and I said, well, I don't know about that because, and I didn't look at it from his perspective. The perspective he brought out, and then he called those people in the Senate small-minded or something to that effect, and he realized, no, it's fine. I'm okay. I didn't think of it the way you presented it, so that's made me think, and I appreciate that, and that's fine.
Right.
I want people to be comfortable on the show. I want them to be able to come out, say what they got to say, talk about their stuff, and do their thing.
Absolutely. That's how I run mine, man.
Yeah.
I don't do any set questions. It's all conversational. We may have a couple that we work in if we can, but I mean, honestly, it's really just, it's about the guest and it's conversational. And those are the best ones because then, whatever comes up, I find that with guests, and I'm sure you found this, with guests, they will very often tell you, if you let them, what they want to talk about.
Yes.
You just have to let them.
Yes.
And too many podcasters are like waiting for them to stop talking so they can ask, the next question on the sheet of paper. And It's like, just talk and listen and you'll get where you need to go. But
exactly. Yeah, exactly right. Like I have an outline, right? That's one of the things that Angela does with me. So she'll send me an outline of things and I'll make some adjustments to the things. Well, I'm going to talk about this. I want to talk about that and try to steer the conversation that way and so on and so forth. But on the whole, I don't really follow it. I just let it flow. However it goes, it goes. Like when Peter was on the first time, I asked him one question. I had 17 questions I wanted to ask him because and these were like thought out questions because it had to do with Tina Peters and J6 and all that stuff. And I wanted to really get into that. But I asked him that one question and I saw how much he enjoyed that one question. And he just talked and talked and talked. And people were commenting in the live chat, that they love to hear him talk about things like this. And nobody's ever asked him this kind of question before.
That's cool.
And it's a very simple question. I ask everybody, so it's like, but it worked and it was great. And it took up a 2-hour conversation.
Right. You got to love that too. The guy who comes on your show when you're not big yet, when you get big, then everybody wants to come on the show.
Yeah.
Right. And that's nice. And you still appreciate everybody. But it's the guy who comes on the show when you're really a nobody and nobody else is clamoring to get on your set, and you're asking people and they're like, who are you? What's your following? How many downloads do you have? Don't stop bothering me, kid. Get away from me. Right. It's that guy, man, that it's priceless. That guy is priceless.
Yeah, absolutely 100%. Agree with you. And, and the funny thing is too, when you actually talk to these folks outside of the show, they're just normal, everyday people, just like anybody else. Right. It's like it's like I had a great conversation with him. I also interviewed a guy by the name of David Shine, another high profile lawyer. I mean, he teaches. I mean, historian. I mean, we had a great conversation on the show. We had an even better conversation after the show. And I was like, this needs to be the show.
Record on,
you know. And so,
yeah.
but it's great. It's again, like I said before, you meet people, you learn things, you talk to people that you would never really have an opportunity to do, and that's great. Now, any specific platforms, tools, or networks that you've used that to really help you scale, like revenue streams? Because I know you do revenue monetizing as part of your coaching. So
Right.
so what do you use for that?
I mean, I use a hosting platform different than yours, which I won't mention, since
Okay.
he's your sponsor. But and that has helped me. But I mean, I don't buy into the bells and whistles a whole lot. I'm really a minimalist. I had one of my guests actually called me the Robin Hood of podcasting a while back, and it kind of stuck for a while
Nice.
because, according to her, I was all about not buying into all the rich stuff and just running it, for the poor, like how to
Yeah.
do podcasting for the poor.
So I picture you now on your cover art with the Robin Hood hat, with
That's what
the
I'm saying. I was like, what an awesome name. I was like, if that catches on, that's awesome. And then I had to stop it because every time I went anywhere, it was okay. So they call you the Robin Hood of podcasting. What's that about? I'm like, I got tired of answering the questions. So I took it off everything. But I just, for me, honestly, I monetize. I've got, some sponsors, and that was great. I was in sales. So, you reach out, you do it the old fashioned way. I don't worry about the advertising a whole lot. I monetize through coaching a lot and, that kind of thing. And then I have my own affiliate program where, if somebody refers someone to me for coaching in any of my programs, then I pay them a referral for referring the person to me. And so I've got podcasters all over the place that are referring people to me for various types of coaching because they know that if that person buys the coaching, they're getting a check, and I'm like, hey, if you're going to be an affiliate of somebody, be an affiliate with another podcaster who's going to, Venmo you the money the day he gets paid.
Nice.
There is
Yeah.
no, maybe they buy, maybe they don't thing, and so that's been received really well. But in terms of the tools, and I hate to disappoint you on the question, but I don't use any big fancy tools really. I mean, I'm, I started with the cardboard box underneath the computer. You know what I mean? And whatever works. So I'm
All
a
right.
minimalist when it comes to it. Yeah.
Oh, and sometimes that's the best way to do it. I have a couple of sponsors. Pod Home is one. TNE.energy is another one, and then Pro HVAC Solutions, which is a local company. And we have a good relationship, and it's a lot of it's value for value stuff. So
Sure.
That
still counts, man.
Oh, it does, absolutely,
yeah.
and it works. It works. But I do want to talk to you off the show about monetizing because I have a need to do that. Self-funding a lot of this stuff is difficult, and you know that.
Absolutely.
It's hard. Like I look around the room that I made into a studio here, and I'm like, well, that cost a bit, and that cost a bit, and this thing cost a bit, and that thing cost a bit, and it's like if I had all that money in my pocket right now, it'd be all right.
Oh yeah.
But you do it again for the love of it. So
we've all been there. Exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I would like to be able to increase my revenue stream with the show. On Rumble, I'm monetized on Rumble, so I get a little something every couple of months, not often. Yeah. YouTube, I don't invest a lot of time in YouTube and promoting it or doing anything with them, only because I already have 2 strikes, and I refuse to go through their sensitivity training for it to get them removed. So
I was going to say, I've heard some of your episodes, and I would imagine YouTube probably has a problem with some of the things that you've said. So, yeah.
Just a few.
Just a couple. Right.
Yeah. So anyway, so I don't do anything really with YouTube. If they shut me off, they shut me off. I don't really care, to be honest with you. Right. My home base here is Rumble, and as always, I have to make this statement because people say things. Yes, I have a vested interest in Rumble. I am a shareholder in Rumble. So yes.
Okay. There you go.
I am going to promote Rumble.
Full disclosure, right on.
Full disclosure. Full disclosure.
And good for you, by the way. That's excellent.
Thank you, sir. I do try. You know, my little mini shekels that I throw to it. It's yeah, but I do want to talk to you off the show about some of this stuff because I'm very interested in seeing what you got and maybe partnering up with you in some ways. Now, as far as coaching, right? I want to talk to you about your coaching stuff. You basically coach men to find purpose, accountability. I guess how does that mission show up in the way you build the podcast or lead the conversations?
Sure. You know, that's part of the coaching that I do. I coach podcasters, I coach speakers. I coach authors to become podcasters or speakers. And then I coach men. And I've found a niche, because I hate the word niche. I just hate it. I found a niche, okay? The American version of that word. I found a niche working with a lot of veterans. And even though I'm not one, regrettably, these guys, they need to hear from somebody about moving forward. You know, there's a therapist in every corner who will tell them all about what happened in the past, and we'll work with them on those things. That's not what these guys are looking for. They're like, hey, this is what I dealt with. How do I move forward? I work with a lot of fathers and a lot of husbands who are just sort of the regularness of life is too heavy, and you know the magic is gone, sure, but it's not that type of thing either. It's almost like my wife doesn't believe in me anymore. You know, my wife isn't proud of me. I'm not proud of me. So I stop leading. You know, because of all that. There's those are the kinds of guys that I work with, and it's really all experience based. And the podcast itself, I spent the first 100 episodes talking about mistakes I made and things I learned from them. And I think one of the reasons we grew as fast as we did was because a lot of guys heard what I was talking about, and I wasn't up there pontificating, acting like I was some know-it-all. I'm like, I made this mistake. I still have the scar. It's huge, you know. Listen to what I'm telling you, and maybe you can avoid the scar, gentlemen, you know. And that caught on. That did really catch on in a big way. And so the guys who come into my coaching program, they're all completely different. And so there is no cookie cutter thing. There's no set pattern of coaching. I sit down with each guy and we do a meeting and a quick, you could call it a discovery call, but it's just to get to know you. And it's, what are we working on? And what is it you think you need? Most of the time, what they think they need ends up not being what they need. But everybody's individual. And so we put together an individual program working each week, hour-long Zoom meetings, and then homework, you know, and texting and messaging, accountability for having it done, and, sort of establishing routine again for a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
The biggest issue that we carry, I think, as men is that we feel like we don't have any value. You know, whatever value we thought we had is gone. I used to be this, now I'm not. You know what I mean? I used to bring this to the table. Now I don't. My wife used to look at me like this. Now she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a ton of that. And men have been told to, sit down and shut up by women and men. You know, women don't want to hear it. And men, tear you apart. Tear you apart if they think that you're weak. Right. So I will tell you, I'm not the vulnerability guy. I'm not Mr. Share your feelings and throw them all over the place and, throw up your emotions. And that's not it. I'm a big brotherhood guy. Okay. Never let them see you weak. Never let your wife and your kids see you weak. That's not part of the deal. They are depending on you. They would rather see you die on your horse than fall off of it.
Yeah.
But when you're with brothers, then you let it go. Okay. Because they get it. And you do it in a safe container, like a group and stuff like that, like the one we have. It works out. You got guys who are watching your back, not attacking you there.
Yeah, I agree with you. We've always been told. Well, at least I was growing up. And I'm Italian. I grew up in an Italian family. My father, my grandfather. They were men. My dad died because he refused to go take care of himself because he was too concerned about taking care of my mom, who was also sick. He didn't want anybody else doing anything for her. He had to take care of her. And then he would lie to my sister and I. We would ask him, did you go to the doctor, get checked out? Yeah, everything's fine. Really, everything's fine? Yeah, everything's good. The usual problems. Nothing's changed from that. I'm good. I'm okay. I'm good. Until the day came that he ended up going to the hospital, and that was the last.
Yeah.
And he did that again because he loved and cared for my mom so much, didn't want anybody else getting involved and taking care of it. It was his job, his responsibility, and he never showed weakness. There was one time in my life that I can remember my dad showed me weakness, and it was just the two of us. There was nobody else around. We went fishing, and it was not the usual place that we would go. My dad and I used to go on party boats all the time out of Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn, and had great times doing that stuff. My dad took me out pier fishing one time, and it was just the two of us. There was nobody else around, and that's when my dad opened up and just spilled everything out. That's been on his heart. It's been on his mind. And it was the first time in my life I ever saw my dad's eyes get misty. Didn't cry, but got misty, telling me these things. And I was horrified at some of it, to be honest with you, because I was like, I had no idea. But it's that place of comfort that you put yourself into, where you can talk to people. I agree with you. Your wife, your kids should never, under normal circumstances, see you break down.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's unavoidable, but
sure.
I agree with you. I think masculinity has been so torn apart. Now the term is toxic masculinity, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's total bullshit. So, there is no such thing as toxic masculinity. It's masculinity, whether you like it or not. That's what it is. And I'm sorry, I'm not catering to you. I am not bowing down to you. I am not going to kiss your butt. No, you get me. I am what I am. That's it.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. I'm divorced, and I've only had a few interactions since the divorce. I'm divorced now. It'll be 3 years divorced, 4 years apart. I had one date that, and I told this story on the show before to another a men's coach, and so I had this date, and I love to cook. All right, I love cooking. So the date was, I invited this woman to the house, and we were gonna have dinner, and I was gonna cook, and I made this beautiful Italian meal. I made fettuccine with sweet peas, prosciutto, and a white wine sauce with fresh homemade garlic bread. I'm gonna get my own butters, all that stuff. Fresh homemade garlic bread, and then desserts. I had caramel apple tarts with homemade vanilla ice cream and bourbon-infused whipped cream. It was beautiful.
Wow.
All right. Beautiful night planned. Candles, all that crap. So she comes over, and she's sitting at the kitchen table, and we're talking and everything, and the dogs are there, and she keeps looking at them, and I'm like, I'm just noticing how she's looking at them, and they're very friendly, so they'll stand up and they'll try to like see what you're doing and all that stuff, and she would kind of push them off a little bit. I don't like that. Don't push my dogs. All right, they're my kids. Don't do that. And I'm like that with them, because when I was at my worst with this divorce, they were the only ones that were there for me.
Yeah.
When I was laying on the floor drunk in my vomit and bleeding from my head because I walked into the wall, they were laying there next to me when I woke up. So they get everything. No questions asked. They are my life. So don't push my dogs away. All right, that's number one. Number two happened when I served dinner, and I made the presentation, and she looked at them, and she looked at the plate, and she was like, well, what about them? I said, no, I have dinner for them. So she goes, no, aren't you putting them outside? I said, why would I put them outside?
Yeah.
You leave the dogs in the house all the time? Well, yeah. Really? Yes, really. Why? Is that a problem? Well, dogs belong outside. They're animals. Oh, okay. I said, well, how about this? My dogs sleep with me. my boy sleeps here. My girl sleeps here under the blankets every night. That's disgusting. Really. So she was, I can't eat with the dogs in the house. Can you please put them outside? No, I'm not putting them outside. And if you don't want to eat, fine. I took the plate and I put it on the floor. The dogs ate and I showed her out the door. You can leave.
There you go. I mean, hey.
Toxic masculinity.
That's exactly what she wrote on her Facebook page.
Probably, yeah. I didn't have Facebook yet at that point, so I don't know.
She probably knew that already, so she figured it was safe to trash you on it. But
probably.
No, man, I hear you loud and clear. 100%. You got to believe what you got to believe in. You know, I mean, it's stuff that's important. It's important to you. But as soon as something's important to you, as soon as something's important to you, though, then all of a sudden you're toxic. You know, as soon as you stand up for something, including yourself, you're toxic. And it's it's just become ridiculous. You know,
or you stand up for traditional values. You know, the traditional relationship, the traditional husband-wife dichotomy that the way I explain it is, and this is biblical, and I'm sure you would agree with this, is that you know, it's Christ, the husband, the wife, the kids, everything else. Right? Now, does that mean that, you know, and then there's that verse that everybody likes to throw up. Well, the Bible says, you know, wives submit to your husband. I'm not submitting to my husband.
Right.
That's not what it means. All right. It doesn't mean that you are to, you know, crawl around in my presence. I mean, if you want to, you can. I mean, but you don't have to. You know, that's not what it means. And I say that tongue in cheek. But what it basically means is that the final decisions that have to get made in the household fall on the man, the male, the husband. All right. Now, my wife could have a better idea or a better way of handling a particular situation. I want to hear that and I will weigh that. But ultimately, the final decision on it is mine. Rise or fall, it's my decision to make. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what submission in some respects is. You know, it's understanding that there's the hierarchy, there's the way things go, and that's the way it worked. And that's wrong today, apparently. You're not supposed to be like that. That's
it's only wrong because they want to be able to have the double standard. You know, the reason that's right is because if everything falls apart, you know, if there's 4 people at the table and there's only 3 pieces of chicken, okay, it's the father's fault. And that's it. You know, and the father is the one who shouldn't eat also if he can't provide that.
Correct.
So
I totally agree with that.
It's a double-edged sword. And you know, when you say that, you know, the man is the one who's in charge of the family, the man's got to lead. You know, he sets the tone. He sets the tone for the spirit, for, you know, the Holy Spirit in the family, and, you know, biblical teachings, the whole 9 yards. That is how it is. But when those fail, then that also falls on the man. You know, because he's the one who failed to provide it, to do it, to put it into place. So nobody wants to talk about that part of it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That goes along with it. So I agree with you completely. You know,
that and it really it just irritates me. It really does how culture, society has turned so much against the male figure in relationships. You know, we're supposed to be now, you know, so gentle and soft and
right,
you know, just passive and just whatever.
Right.
No.
Absolutely not.
No. I will come in my house and I will drop my pants and I'll walk around in my underwear and I will carry my pistol on my side, and you know, and which is hard when you wear underwear only, but you know,
that's a little tough. But I mean, you know, however you're working it, man. I mean, you live in Texas, so nothing surprises me.
You know, you get the little necklace thing, you know, you put the chain here, you know, hang it by the
right on
by the trigger guard. You know, whatever it is, you know, this look, it's cult society is just completely flip flop, and it's like what the Bible says. The Bible says, you know, there's going to be a time where right is wrong and where wrong is right, and we could take it even, in other ways of saying it. What's black is actually blue, and what's blue is actually yellow, and completely opposites of what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's where we are today, and that's if you're a Bible believing person, you're going to see that. If you believe what the Word of God says, you're going to see that this is the direction that the world is going. It talks about men who are effeminate, and it talks about all these things in these last days. And that's where we are. We're in the last days of the last days, I think. My personal opinion, based on my studies.
Sure.
And
a lot of people feel that way. I understand that.
Yeah. Now I know you do faith-based podcasts and such. So what's your testimony, though? Let's hear how you came to that point in your life.
Wow, man. That's my testimony is interesting. I had a very rough childhood, and I'm not going to make it long by going all the way back there, but just to set the stage.
No, we only have 10 minutes. So.
Yeah, okay, no problem. I'll get it done. I had a very rough childhood, and because of that, I doubted God and His existence. I doubted that there was some being that was supposed to keep us safe. Nobody who was the God that I was learning about in CCD on Saturday mornings. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that I was praying to on Sundays in church. And I was raised Catholic. So that God was not, there's no way there was that God. And then that God built my father. There was no way. There was no way he put my father in charge of my family to do what he did to my mother and to me, and everything else. And then it was horrifying. And that's something that I've had to deal with. But while I was dealing with that, and of course, for years after I dealt with that, and then when I dealt with that with a stepfather later on, because apparently my mom had a type, you kind of go, I'm going to handle this myself because God apparently has abandoned me. And that's really how you feel when that's all of the context you have. And when you don't have someone who's a leader, who's a role model, who is teaching you and mentoring you through what's really going on in your life. All you know is survival, and this is bad, and this is how I got to get through it. So you think you're depending on yourself. For years, God tried to get into my life, tried to help me out, tried to walk, tried to let me know He was walking by my side. Years and years and years, decades. Yeah. My wife held the all of the faith in our family. Introduced my sons to it so that they both could grow up, and they are absolutely faith-filled, more than I ever dreamed of being, especially at their age. It took me until the accident. It took me until the almost dying to go all the way over to where I needed to be. And that was another one of those things that I spent a lot of time talking to my wife about, in the dark. So I believed in God. I always knew He was there. I just didn't really have that relationship with Him. And He tried to wake me up over the years a lot, a lot of near misses, a lot of this, a lot of that. And again, I know we're short on time, but there were two really bad moments in my life. And one was, the one in the hospital. The other one was, after the real estate crash, when we literally lost everything. And I was convinced that the entire world was going to be better without me in it. And I was done. I had decided I was not going to be here anymore. And something stopped me from doing that night. And I mean, I'm talking physical reaction, like, burst out into shaking, and had some kind of an attack, passed out on the floor, the whole bit. Woke up, a whole new perspective, went back to work, went back to fighting. I didn't realize until a year ago that back when that happened, back when I was that far gone, that was God saying, what, literally grabbed me and going, what is wrong with you? You know what I mean? And He finally got my attention when I was in the hospital and said, are you ready to listen yet? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Wow. Just a ton of bricks. And I have not looked back. I've gotten back into it. I keep this right here by me. Notes all over it. I read it. I actually read what's in it. So it's been very, very big
idea, by the way.
Right. Who thought that you could read the book and learn
Who'd
something?
have thunk it?
Right. So, I mean, that's kind of it, in a few minutes or less. And granted, those stories are much longer, but that's for another time, man. It really is.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely want to get back and and sit down with you and really get into the meat of all that, because I love hearing testimonies. I love hearing people how they've come to know their relationship with the Lord, and have that. I hate the phrase, but I use it sometimes. That come to Jesus moment.
Right.
I don't mean it disrespectfully, to the Lord in any way, but it's really what it is. I don't think I can summarize mine as succinctly as you did, but I let's just suffice it to say that I got saved 25 years ago, July 20th of 2000. I got saved. I just one day woke up and said, something's wrong. Something's not right. And I started searching. And, that Bible principle out of Romans chapter 1, when a man is diligently searching and he's seriously searching, God's going to provide him someone or something to point him in the right direction. And God used many people to point me in that direction. And so it was a stacking, it was a building up. I used to tell people I was the Pope of the Worldwide Church of Joe. I believed what I believed, and that was the end of that. When I was a kid, I got kicked out of catechism because I didn't want to go to confession and tell a priest what I had done over the course of a week, and because I didn't believe that he had any authority. And the reason why I did that, and again, like I said, I can't summarize the whole thing succinctly like you did, but my uncle was the first one in my family to leave the Catholic Church, and he became a pastor for a Protestant denomination that I will not name because they're not a really good one. But when he went to seminary, we went to Bible school. He'd come home and he'd bring home his books, and as a young boy, I would read those books. So I was reading like theology at in catechism grade level, and then he would also take my catechism books and rewrite them, which was always helpful, because you go to catechism class, open it up, and there's a big red X through your pages and then a stapled attachment saying this is not how it happened, and then he rewrote the whole thing, Yeah. But I gravitated to that because I looked up to him very much. I idolized him. I wanted to be my uncle. And when I had to go to catechism and go to confession, I told the priest, I said, "Why am I going to tell you what I've done wrong? You can't do anything about it." And he didn't like that, and he literally physically took me by the arm, not the hand, by the arm,
Right.
dragged me outside and handed me my mother. And this is what he said, and I will never forget it. I forgive him for it, but I will never forget what he said. He said, "We don't need his kind here."
Ouch.
Yes.
Wow.
So my mom said, "Oh, okay, no problem." Never went back. Well, I eventually, years later, I went back, but different church, different priest, all that stuff. But it wasn't the same thing. I just didn't believe what they were teaching. So fast forward years and years and years to that point where I said, I just knew something was wrong, something was missing, and God pointed people pointed me in the right direction to certain people, and I ended up dropping down on my knees on the middle of a Pier 34 off of West Street and Canal Street in Lower Manhattan, second bench off the gate, and confessed Jesus Christ as my Savior. And there was a myriad of things that went on around that we'll save for another time, the details that led to that particular moment. But I knew that moment, that when I called upon the Lord to save me, he did. And life's never been the same since. I've been able to do things that I never thought I'd be able to do. Like I traveled across the state. Part of my experience in law enforcement in New York was the World Trade Center. I did work on the pile for a little while, and I did, work in the area for a while. It was right. My command was just a few blocks away from that. God used that to send me to Washington State to preach to 400 lumberjacks about Jesus Christ, and to give my testimony, and to see a good majority of them raise their hand to know Jesus Christ. Never would have happened. How
it's crazy.
To the point where I served as an associate pastor in a small church up in New York, and for a little while there, and to teaching Bible on a podcast, and to doing all the stuff that I've done, for the Lord. It's been a blessing. It's been a wild ride. And I am incredibly thankful for it. And I'm not always appreciative of it. I've had my moments where I've kind of, waved the fist and said, why are you doing this to me? And hence the alcoholic binge that I went on for a little while after the divorce, and, tempting God to take my life, and tried to help him along the way. Didn't work. Very
Thank God,
disappointed. Praise the Lord. But at the time I was very disappointed. I was like, I just took a whole bottle of this and I drank a whole bottle of that at the same time, and I still woke up and all I had was a headache.
Yeah.
And that's God saying, because I really think God's Italian. I do. I swear to you, God is Italian, because God, he's quick with the shkafa. You know what the shkafa is? It's a Sicilian thing. It's a Sicilian thing. My grandfather was Sicilian. My grandfather was great with the shkafa.
So are we. He just didn't want to teach me anything.
Yeah. Well, so the shkafa is basically this. When you say something stupid, or you do something stupid, you get smacked in the back of the head. What's wrong with you?
I got the smack in the head.
That's the shkafa.
That's what it's called.
Yes. So God is very good with that. So I did what I did, and I got, get to work. You're gonna be late.
Nice. I don't think I can argue with you on that. I bet he is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
because he's shkafa'd me like I don't even know how many times.
Yeah, there you go. So it's I'm incredibly thankful for everything that I have. I like I said, I don't always show it as appreciation, but I do. And it's a life-changing moment. And one of these days we'll get into more of the details, because I want to know more about your situation and how it came about for you. I want to get into the meat of the whole thing, and I'll tell you the meaty part of mine, because mine's kind of funny, how it all led up to that. And the thing, actually, the pastor who led me to Christ wrote my conversion experience in a book.
You getting a commission on that, I hope?
No. He donated my commissions to.
There you go. More humility, right? Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, learn to be humble there, Joe. I did win the Humble Man of the Year award once. Just once. But they took it away from me when I put the lapel pin on my jacket. So, you walk right into that one.
I was waiting. I'm like, come on, there's something else coming.
There's a punchline to it. You walk right into
the other shoe's going to drop. Come on. Exactly.
I am loaded with these old dad jokes. So, 2 more weeks.
Love it, man. Love it. Don't ever lose that. I text dad jokes out, in a group text to all my kids, fairly frequently, and I get a whole lot of the, face palm, type of emojis back. If I get an emoji back,
it's
pretty sure I think they're blocking me at this point, to be honest with you. I'm not real sure.
Well, but you know what? That's good. That's good, because that means you have quiet time.
Yeah, plenty of that. Empty nester, plenty of quiet time, brother.
You know what I do? I actually, from after the show Friday until Sunday, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And I'll check it once in a while. Like, I'll just to make sure that I didn't miss anything, like somebody died, God forbid, or something like that, but if it's not important, like an emergency, like I have to get in touch with you, I will not call you back. I will not text you back. I will not. So that's usually what I do. I'm not going to say I'm faithful to it 100% of the time, but that's generally what I do. And since I've been doing that, it's been nice. It's been.
Well, someday you're going to have to explain to me how you swing that, because I cannot even imagine.
Yeah,
I'm getting anxiety just thinking about that, right?
Well, no, seriously, the first couple of times I did it, I was like, like something's not wrong. Something's wrong. Something's not right.
Can't imagine.
What's the problem here? Nobody's calling me. Why? Oh, that's why.
Can't imagine that. No, I would be worried the whole time that one of my kids had something going on and they couldn't reach me. I'd just be dying.
Well, that's why I check it. I make a mental note to myself just to check the phone every couple hours just to look and see and whatnot. Because I also with my job, I'm on call 24/7. So my regular job. So I have to check the phone. But I'm not. The point of it is that I'm not a slave to the ding on the phone. You know what I mean? I check it on my terms. See, masculine. Toxic masculinity right there.
Hey, man, you gotta love it.
Rory, thank you, man. This has been great. Just one last question for you. I have to ask. I promised Angela that I would always ask these questions when I do.
Okay.
Who is someone that you respect right now, and what are they doing that inspires you?
Someone that I respect right now.
Yes.
That's tough. There's several people that kind of come to mind. Honestly, the one that I would have to say above all others right now, I'd have to say my wife.
Amen.
Yeah, she is. She has put up with more than any one person ever should have. I have no idea why she's still with me, but she's more responsible for me being able to do this that I'm doing right now,
Mhm.
almost than I am. Without her and her support and everything that she does on a daily basis,
That's
putting up
great.
with everything, I wouldn't be able to do it, not even for a minute. So, I mean, even if I'm late getting to the setup, right? If I'm running to it because the time's up for a meeting, she'll make a coffee for me. She'll help bring something in the room. She fixes the light. I mean, there's nothing about her that isn't um, there to help me succeed right now, and I don't deserve it at
Yeah.
all. And she's still there.
She's
So
a good
right
help
now,
for you.
yeah, I got to tell you, man, there's nobody that stands above my wife right this second at all.
Praise the
She's it.
Lord, man. I like that. That's good. I wish more men would say stuff like that. I do. I really do. I'm divorced, I know, but yeah, I wish more. I seriously though, I do wish more men say things like that. And that's important. It's
Yeah.
like the Bible says, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
Yeah. Well, that's
You know?
not weakness, man. I mean, when you're secure
No,
in your
no.
masculinity after all these years, you can say stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. I mean, that's
yeah,
absolutely true.
so
And it's a good thing. It really is. It really is. It's refreshing to hear. You hear so many guys, oh, like this, football player, this basketball player, whatever it is.
eh.
Yeah. Yeah. Find a good wife. Find a good wife.
Right
Not
on.
me. I don't want a wife, but everybody else, go find a good wife. You're
It's
good.
never too late, brother. It's never too
Oh
late. You
no.
never know.
What did Darth Vader say to Luke Skywalker? It is too late for me, son.
Out of all the lines in Star Wars, that's the one you're gonna quote. Okay, we're gonna have to get into that at some point too in the future.
And the real reason why it's on my
Love
mind
it.
is because I saw this thing on Instagram talking where it was Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, and from that scene, and the caption above was, Dad, why didn't you tell me about these crazy women, or something like that, and or something to that effect, and he was like, well, it is too late for me, son, was the audio underneath it,
Uh,
or how come you, I don't know, I forget. I'll send it to you. I have it
all
somewhere
right.
because I sent it to my son, and and because he has a crazy girlfriend, so
Oh,
so I sent it to him. So I thought it was funny.
there you go.
Anyway, all right, Rory, I gotta close out the show here. I got a couple of announcements to make. I don't know if you want to hang out while I do it. You can do that. That's fine.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, folks. So anyway, Rory Paquette, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you spending the time. And I know we ran long, I know, but you were late, so but I was being generous and gave you the extra time. So
Oh, I'm grateful. I really
Okay,
am. I
well, you should
appreciate
be,
it, man.
sir. You should be, sir. You're
Yeah.
the presence of greatness here. We're trying to build a media empire here. I'm going to unseat Joe Rogan someday.
I'm here for it.
We can
All right.
dream. We can dream. It's not going to always happen, but we can dream. All right, folks. Let's get back to podcaster voice. All right, folks. Hey, don't forget to head over to the website, joerooz.com, and sign up for our programming announcements email list. All right. So it's a little pop-up. It's going to come up on the homepage. Just fill the form out. Get yourself on the email list. We do not sell your information, share your information. I am not going to try to sell you stuff. I'm not going to take a picture of a coffee mug and put it up there with my name on it and say, buy it. I'm not going to do that. All it is just information about upcoming shows, guests, and any changes into schedules, if there's any, that we really do try to avoid those. But if there is, we send out the email for it. And you know what? The best part of it is it's free. Don't cost you nothing. It's free, so sign up for it. All right. If you want to follow us on our socials, you can find us on Twix at Joe Rooz, Twix, Twitter, X, whatever, Twix, at Joe Rooz Truth Social. If you want to really know what's going on in this administration, Truth Social is the place to go for it, because they will post it there first, and sometimes only there. So Truth Social, you find me there at Joe Rooz. Minds, great platform, minds.com. Been on it for years. Love the platform. Totally free speech. I mean, dude, say what you got to say on it. Just say it. Minds.com. Find me there at Joe Rooz. And as a matter of fact, the CEO and co-founder of Minds, Bill Ottman, is going to be on the show with us on November 21st. So make sure you check it out for that. Facebook, Joe Rooz Show. If you want to follow us there, that's fine. It's up to you. Instagram is not Joe Rooz. Okay? That's what it is. It's not Joe Rooz, because Instagram banned me before I finished the sign-up process under Joe Rooz for, I don't know why. It just did. So I re-registered, same email address, same phone number, and just put "not" in front of my name, and they let it go. Probably going to cancel me now, but TikTok is joe.rooz, and I don't know why any man is on TikTok. I mean, that's like the most like effeminate thing ever, but I have one for the show. I hardly ever use it. So, but if you want to follow me there, you can do that. And if you want to find us on Getter is a up and coming growing platform. You can find us on Getter. It's GETTR at Joe Rooz. And we look forward to following you guys back. Shout outs to our producing team, executive producer Wayne Rankin, Rosanna Rankin, Carolina Jimenez, Marissa Lee, and of course, the inestimable Anonymous Angela. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do. Your time, your talent, your treasure is greatly appreciated. Couldn't do this stuff without you guys. So thank you so very, very much for it. Now, if you want to help us out, donations, one-time donation, any amount, you could do that. Recurring donation in any amount, great. We appreciate those. Those actually help us when we know how much we're bringing in every month, so you can help us out with that. But if you want that title, you want the associate producer title, it's going to cost you $17.76 a month. If you want to be a producer, it's $18.36 a month. You see what I did there? See, American Independence, Texas Independence. And then executive producer is $25 or more a month. All the producers get the shout out on every show, just like you heard. You get included in all of our show notes and emails. Anything that we send from the show all has your name on it because your donations help us produce the show, so you get the credit as the producer. And I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to get you guys the actual credit on IMDb like the other guy does. So I'm going to work on that. We're still working on that. All right. If you want to help us with donations of crypto, you can do that too. All of our wallet information is up on the support page. Ethereum, Tether, Bitcoin, Texacoin, whatever's up. I don't even know anymore. Whatever's up there, you can help us out with that. And of course, all the guys and folks that are streaming sats to us across the modern podcast apps, thank you. We appreciate that. That's for the audio stream. So you can get these modern podcast apps. You go to your app store. You can go to, if you want to be rogue, you can go to modernpodcastapps.com or podcastindex.org, and you can download one of those apps like Podcast Guru. Great app, by the way. Podcast Guru, Fountain.fm, TrueFans.fm, not OnlyFans, TrueFans.fm. You can, and Podhome has their own app. You can hook up your crypto wallet to it, and you can actually stream sats to us during the course of the show. And you know what sats are? Sats from micropayments of Bitcoin. It's like pennies, really. I think 100 sats is like 10 cents. So, we appreciate that though. It's great to receive. It's a blessing to receive it, and we appreciate that. So you can stream those to us. You can send us a little boost along with it, a little comment, let us know what you're thinking, and we would appreciate that. All right, I think that should just about do it for us. And anything else you want to impart to us before we say goodbye?
You know what? It's been great.
I appreciate it.
I was so enthralled by the whole, spiel. I was like, wow, man, he's really covering all this stuff. That's great.
All technical bases, right? All right, folks. That's going to do it. Rory Paquette, thank you again for being with us. And folks, thanks for taking the time to be with us for this 3-hour episode tonight. It's been a real treat. Head over to the website, joerooz.com. And hey, listen, don't forget, make Texas independent again. Go podcasting, keep a steady stride, and keep talking. God bless you, folks. We'll see you Sunday.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together?
Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather.